All heavens sign in from Naruto, Chapter 421-440. Chapter 421_Mecha God of War. Then. Opens Tensagen. 9 golden Gudodama truth-seeking balls appeared behind Yifeng. And then. Yifeng raised his hand towards the two-dimensional barrier ahead. Gudodama truth-seeking ball Gatling. Arrangement. Yifeng's voice fell. Countless bullets turned into golden Gudodama truth-seeking ball blasted towards this two-dimensional space. Boom. Gudodama truth-seeking ball crashed on top of the 2D shield. There was a deafening sound. Then. The two-dimensional space in front of them began to crack and shatter. Looking at the passage in front of him that was blasted open by Yifeng with the golden Gudodama truth-seeking ball. Hexy was in shock. You actually broke this two-dimensional barrier. Although it was Hexy who proposed the unification of the 5 elements. But when she saw that it really worked, she was also really shocked. To know. This place is a problem that Hexy and Geisha cannot solve with the help of the space-based computing group and the treasure house of sacred knowledge. 5 elements in one can be done. This is too mysterious, right? This moment. Yifeng has also seen through it completely. Science. Non-existent. Don't be in a hurry to be shocked, just rush over, this place is closing. Yifeng raised his hand. 9 Gudodama truth-seeking ball instantly turned into 9 layers of circular protective film. The 3 of them were shrouded together. Then. They passed through a two-dimensional barrier. Finally came to this space surrounded by two-dimensional spheres. But. All they could see was a barren landscape. It's pitch black. This ghost place. Are we really going to keep exploring? I always feel a little creepy. Lian Bing shook his head. Hexy leads the way ahead. They were not in any danger. But everything changes from here on. Area further ahead. That is a mysterious area that no one has ever explored. After a lapse of eternal, I finally passed the two-dimensional barrier that made me almost desperate, so I will definitely not back down, I will continue to move forward. Hexy looked forward with a look of joy. Although there is danger ahead. But. The excitement this completely unknown territory brought to Hexy was indescribable. I also want to move on. Yifeng looked straight ahead. After all, they have already arrived here. If not go further. Isn't it a pity? Ah, well, I'll accompany you. Lian Bing sighed. Although the road ahead is dangerous. But as long as Yifeng decides to go, she will definitely follow her. Then. The 3 continued to move forward. It turned out to be extremely dangerous along the way. The large-scale two-dimensional space like before has not appeared again. But from time to time, a paper-sized object wrapped in a special force field slammed into the Gudodama truth-seeking ball defense cover made by Yifeng. Yifeng tried throwing things out to collide with it. But it will be two-dimensionalized by it instantly after the collision. Much like a two-way foil. I don't know what happened to the Pengu civilization. There are so many D-directional foils on the periphery. Could it be that the entire Pengu civilization has now completely turned into a two-dimensional world? Then. The 3 moved forward slowly for about 2 days. Suddenly. Lian Bing let out a soft whistle. Huh, Yifeng, there seems to be light over there. Yifeng followed Lian Bing's gaze. Really? There is a faint bright spot in the darkness in the distance. Although not obvious. But it has a very special meaning. Go and have a look. Yifeng took Lian Bing and He towards the direction of the light source. But just as they were getting close. Suddenly. Yifeng felt a gust of wind gusting around him. Very weird. How can there be wind in this place? Hexy frowned. Wind is created by the movement of air. There is no wind at all in the vacuum of the universe. And something like the solar wind is a particle flow, which is completely different from the wind in the usual sense. And the wind they feel now is the wind in the usual sense. So, Where does the wind come from? Be careful, I feel that a large number of micro-wormholes are gathering, and there may be a big terror to appear. Liang Bing reminded nervously. Then, a large wormhole appeared above the heads of the three. Boom! The wormhole opened and closed instantly. 4 golden mechas as high as 100 feet actually drilled out of the wormhole. One holds a lute. An umbrella on his back. One holds a sword in his arms. There is also a special serpentine metal wrapped in a golden spiral around the wrist. After these 4 golden mechas appeared, involuntarily, he launched a fierce attack on Yifeng and the 3 of them. Damn it! It's unreasonable. Come up and fight. You don't talk about martial arts at all, right? Lian Bing's scolding firepower is full. Directly summoned her classic weapon, Demon Claws. Block this overwhelming attack. When the 2 weapons collided, a terrifying energy shock was emitted. Fog Grass. What the hell is this special code? It's so powerful. It's not weaker than our 4 generations of gods. Lian Bing bit Kiba, controlled the demon's claws with difficulty, and fought with the 4 mechas. They are all mechas without any vital signs, but they actually have the power of 4 generations of gods. Who is the sacred person who made them? Hexie frowned. She also summoned Xingming and dealt with the 4 gods of war together with Liang Bing. Yifeng was not in a hurry to take action, because he has to carefully help everyone resist the sudden attack of Erxiang Foil. And he was also a little stunned, because these 4 big mechas look from the shape. Could it be the 4 heavenly kings, Mo Liking, Mo Li Yuhi, Mo Li Hai, and Mo Li Shou? What is happening? Confused, have you? Next. The 2 sides fought endlessly. Hexie and Lian Bing couldn't easily rush out of Yifeng's protection. They could only use a long range to contain them, so they suddenly started to fall into the disadvantage. Fog Grass. These 4 mechas can match our 2 King Hard Steel. This is too easy. Lian Bing let out a wry smile. Hexie, the king of Tianji. Apocalypse King Liang Bing. If the 2 of them work together, even the night wind has to shiver. And now, they can't even work together to handle these 3 mechas that have no vital signs and are completely programmed to fight. This is too scary, right? It can't go on like this, or we risk rushing out once and kill them as soon as possible. Hexie's eyes were solemn. The ghost knows what kind of crisis there will be here. Who the hell knows how many mechas like this are there? So, they must fight fast. Then, just when Hexie was about to rush out with Liang Bing, a piece of dichroic foil that could not be seen by the naked eye crept across. It hit the 4 giant mecha gods one after another. In an instant, these 4 big mechas that can compete with the 4 generations of gods were instantly deprived of the concept of volume. Become an ineffable 2-dimensional existence. Chapter 422_Pangu the Great. See this scene. Lian Bing and Hexie swallowed at the same time. Here comes Eternal. They all thought that they had touched the ceiling of the world's combat power. They often feel that they have almost no higher goals to pursue in their lives. And now, this little piece of 2-way foil. But it gave them a very moving lesson. They couldn't imagine the consequences of being hit by that thin piece of paper. Let's go, leave them alone, go to the bright place over there and see. Yifeng frowned. Although these 4 heavenly kings made Yifeng a little confused. But Yifeng thinks this is probably some kind of passive defense mechanism. It just happened to be triggered by them. And the most important thing is the place where the light exists. Then, Yifeng took Hexie Lianbing carefully along the way, and finally came to this place that could emit a little light in the barren land. This looks like a big worm bridge. It's just that the style is a bit out of tune with us. Lianbing looked at the door-like worm bridge in front of him. Fell into contemplation. South, sky, door. She slowly read out the 3 big characters written above the worm bridge, and murmured, "Where the hell is this worm bridge going?" The 3 landed on the flat ground of Nantianmen. Used Gudodama truth-seeking ball to include Nantionman as well. Would you like to go in and try? Liang Bing looked at Nantionman curiously and said hesitantly. Okay, let me come. Hexie sighed with relief, and said with a firm gaze, I am a sacred body, and sacred atoms are immortal. If you are really in danger, you can also help me collect sacred atoms and resurrect them. Quote. Hexie finished speaking. She stepped on it. Hexie passed through the Nanshan gate. But it is only from one side of Nantionman to the other side. There is no function of triggering any time-space teleportation. I didn't sense any energy response from the insect bridge, it seems that it should have been abandoned. Hexie shook his head in disappointment. Although Hexie does not have the right to use Nantionman. But, as long as it can prove that the worm bridge is easy to use. Sooner or later, they will be able to crack the code here and see what the other side of the insect bridge looks like. But unfortunately, when Hexie just crossed the insect bridge, no time-space power was triggered at all. This means that this place should have really been abandoned long ago. I'll try it too. Liang Bing also walked into Nantionman. Then, she burst into the air with a wave of time and space power. But still no shit. It's abolished here, it's done firmly. Liang Bing breathed a sigh of relief. Now that it's out of date. Then they don't have to stay here to continue exploring, right? Wouldn't it be nice for everyone to go back to their shameless life? So much pressure in this hellish place. Urgently need manual decompression. Yefeng, should we continue to move forward, or should we retreat now, and then come back to explore when we are better prepared? Hexie looked at Yefeng and asked. Since Yifeng has the ability to break through the two-dimensional barrier. So, in Hexie's view, going back and preparing carefully may be the best choice. I think about it. Yifeng was staring at the three big characters, Nantionman, from beginning to end. These three words brought Yifeng too much shock. Although there are also stories of Sun Wukong on this earth. There is also heaven. But the plot of the characters inside is completely different from the journey to the west that Yifeng knew. So, there are definitely not many people who know the three words, Nantionman. So, how could the Night Wind not be shocked? Let me try it again. Yifeng had already planned to give up. After all, Hexie and Liang Bing are both masters of the Grandmaster time and space technique. If they all say that this worm bridge is abandoned, 99% of it is abandoned. But because of these three words, Yifeng still tried to step into Nantionman. I see. Just when Yifeng stepped into Nantionman, a colorful glow suddenly bloomed. Then, a voice full of icy mechanical feeling rang in Yifeng's ears. Ding! Pengu Mutara detected. Let go. The word, release, fell. Yifeng was slightly startled. Immediately after, Yifeng suddenly felt that the world was spinning, and when he felt stable, the surroundings became pitch black again. He knows. This should be the other end of Nantionman. Boom! Yifeng directly threw a grand fireball with a diameter of 900 meters out. Want to use it for lighting. But this space is very strange. The light created by Yifeng could only clearly see the distance of less than 1 centimeter around his fireball. No use at all. He couldn't see what the world was like here at all. But the good thing is, Yifeng's sign-in has been triggered. The countdown is about to complete. Ding! Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. Get reward 1. The host can operate a piece of two-way foil, one-time use item. Get reward 2. Dantian Seal Upgrade, Ultimate. Get reward 3. Void Mahamudra Grandmaster. Fogged Grass. Yifeng was immediately shocked by these three rewards. Especially the upgrade of the Dantian Seal. Yifeng has always thought that Ultimate is the highest level of skills. But now, the system actually gave him another Ultimate. Is there an end in the back? Peak. Satisfied. Waiting for a lot of unexpected realms. Can your system play word games with me? After the ultimate Dantian seal, the golden core in Yifeng's body also changed again. It changed from an ordinary golden core to a golden core with 9 small holes. That is Juchao Jindan. This 9 orifices golden pill appeared. Naturally, Yifeng's power has been greatly improved. Don't say anything else. The waist strength has increased by at least 10 times. But now is not the time to consider research reward content. After signing in, Yifeng decided to exit this place first. After all, Hexi and Liang Bing were still outside. They lost the protection of the Nightwind Gudodama, truth-seeking ball. It would be bad if you were in danger. Then, Yifeng turned around without hesitation and entered the door again. I see. Another 5-color brilliance burst forth. But this brilliance is still relatively weak. Yifeng could only roughly see the outline of the door. With this light, Yifeng suddenly saw a small letter on the door on this side. It says, "Who is the peak at the end of science and technology? Whoever sees the pigeon becomes empty." Pengu the Great. Although he has cultivated the holy body of Pengu, his old age is ominous. Mysterious power suddenly descended here, completely destroying the Pengu civilization. I can only do my best to keep the last spark of Pengu civilization. I hope that after hundreds of millions of years, it can wake up safely, walk out of this crisis-riddled Pengu star field, guide new life, and fight against that mysterious force to the end. Dinger Black. I hope you can recreate the prosperity of Pengu one day. Chapter 423_ really special code is 2-pit. Actually, there are many more important things behind this passage. But Yifeng had already been teleported away before he could read it all. He didn't see the full content. Go back to Nantianmen. Yifeng frowned more and more tightly. Fortunately, the 2 girls were not in danger. This made Yifeng feel more gratified. Yifeng, what's the matter? What's in there? Is it dangerous? Is the thorn not irritating? Lian Bing couldn't wait to dribble the ball into Yifeng. Very curious about the world inside the door. Is there a way to take us through it? Even if we can't pass now, we can pass in the future. As long as we can pass. Hexi also couldn't wait to look into Yifeng's eyes. She is a scientist. Her curiosity about the unknown made her scratch her head. She hoped Yifeng could help her stop this unbearable itching. It's pitch black in here, and the light can't radiate out, so I can't see anything. Yifeng shrugged helplessly and said, I'm worried about your safety, so I came out first. As for whether I can bring you in, I'll have to think about it later. Yifeng frowned. Apparently he was still recalling the passage he had just seen. After all, that name is Dinge Black. A very famous figure in the world of Dingle Black Super Seminary. His fame is higher than that of the space god Kirin. He is the scientific leader of Kamigawa civilization. Although everyone now says that Carl's big clock is from the space god Kirin. But the real maker of the big clock is Dinger Black. And Kirin was just a researcher under Dinghe. And such a technology god. It turned out that Emperor Pengu gave out the silver lining of Pengu civilization at the last moment. But it's a pity. Although Dinghe led the Kamigawa civilization to the altar of the New World. But the Kamigawa civilization finally mysteriously perished. Some say they perished because the star was detonated. It was also said that they collectively evaporated. In short, the Kamikawa people are gone. Thought here. Yifeng thought of Kirin again. Why was the entire Kamigawa civilization destroyed? But only Kirin survived. And he will also spread the many Kamigawa genes prepared in advance in major civilizations. Could it be that Kirin is to Dinghe what Dinghe is to Emperor Pengu? Are all a backhand after destruction? What about after Kirin? Did he stay behind? Could it be Carl? Why else would his big clock end up in Carl's hands? Thought here. Yifeng shook his head. He decided not to think about these messy pits for now. He was going to read all the contents that the great Emperor Pengu left on the door before talking about it. After all, there should be recorded all the mysteries of the Pengu civilization. Then, first used Gudodama truth-seeking ball to slap the surroundings. After confirming that there is no defoil around, Yifeng stepped into Nantionman again. But this time, there was no such splendid light in the Nantionman. Yifeng also did not hear the voice of Nantionman testing his Pengu Wushwang body. Huh, what's going on? Yifeng raised his brows. Is this door malfunctioning? Hexy stepped forward. Double check. Maybe it's because the teleportation just now has exhausted the last remaining power in this worm bridge. Now this worm bridge is really completely deserted. Hexy shook his head. When the Nantionman was activated before Yifeng, Hexy and Liang Bing took the opportunity to conduct a general inspection of Nantionman. The energy used by Nantionman is not the energy they can recognize. It's not the kind of chakra energy in Yifeng's body. They cannot supplement it. So, if Yifeng's shuttle has really exhausted the energy here, so, this is a real ruin. Abandoned. Yifeng frowned. He hadn't read the key content on the back door. Why is it wasted? Isn't this a big pit? It doesn't matter, since there is Nantionman, there must be Dongtianman, Shishinman, Beidianman, Zongtianman, Doraemon any door, let's keep looking. Yifeng looked unwilling. Isn't it just a door? Find it. But, at our speed, it may not be that easy to find the second worm bridge here, is it? Hexy shook his head helplessly. Because this space is full of crises. They fly very slowly. And the universe is a space characterized by largeness. A solar system has a diameter of 1 light-year. That is to say, at their current speed, I don't know how many years it will take to traverse the solar system. And here is so vast. It's easier said than done to find the second door. Yeah, Yifeng, interstellar spaceflight relies on wormhole jumping. If you fly with the two of us like this, I'm afraid the efficiency is too low. Liang Bing also shook his head and persuaded, I think we'd better go back first, and come back when we're ready. Then, Yifeng calmly analyzed and thought for a while. Finally, he agreed with Liang Bing's suggestion. After all, the solution to the problem is already there. The test papers will not disappear by themselves. Just come back later. What a hurry. ... Next, the three spent several days. Finally left the Pengu ruins full of all kinds of weirdness. After leaving, the communication interference of angels and demons caused by the special force field of Pengu ruins finally disappeared. They restored the normal communication network. Yifeng and Liang Bing immediately discovered that Heifeng had sent them countless video messages. Just open one and take a look. Yifeng and Liang Bing's faces darkened instantly. Because these messages are all rescue signals from Heifeng to them. Yi and Carl are actually going to attack the Earth. Hexy looked at Yifeng and Liang Bing with staring eyes, and shrugged. Liang Bing, shouldn't they be for you? That's why they are against Yifeng. Huh. Don't look at Liang Bing, who has been wearing a pair of soot makeup for all these years. But there are quite a few people who are fascinated by cold ice. At this point, even Hexy sighed to himself. Knew it. The pure type just can't compare to those natural things. Damn it, Hexy, don't make rude words here. Hurry up and take us back. My mother is going to destroy their scumbags. Bit Kiba's teeth coldly. Although Pluto's Styx bridge was blown up by Yefeng last time. But extrapolate from the time of the first rescue signal from the Black Wind. Carl and the others will be able to reach the solar system after passing through the natural worm bridge. The situation is very urgent. Liang Bing, tell Heifeng to let them and the Shangbing Company intercept Carl at the edge of the solar system, at least intercept them outside Titan, and don't put the battlefield around the Earth, or the Earth will suffer. Chapter 424 _ Armageddon. Yifeng's eyes darkened. In the night wind, The villains of the entire super god universe are now only Hua Yi and Carl. Yifeng originally wanted to find a time to kill them, but did not expect. They even came to the door by themselves. But the Earth is still too young. It is only 5.8 billion years old. Too fragile. Yifeng must not allow the war to spread to Earth. Outer edge of the solar system. Tens of thousands of kilometers away. Under the sharp operation of Haifeng, Devil No. 1 took a gorgeous position while firing at Hua Yi's warship from a long distance. The two large spaceships swayed freely in the vast starry sky. But Brother Hua Yi's snakeskin walking is also very windy. Don't look at Haifeng's sudden action like a tiger. Result. There's nothing wrong with people. I said Black Wind Demon, can you do it? Will you be able to make bubbles? Why don't you let Mr. Shin do it for me? I'll play this thief. Xin Zhao glanced at the record on the screen. I can't bear to watch it anymore. It's no wonder that this spicy chicken can hit someone. Don't make trouble, we are high-tech, how could you bastards do this? Haifeng gave Xin Zhao a disdainful look. Still playing thieves. This special code is high-tech. Do you understand? We special cats are not children. Is it really okay for you to fool us like this? The corners of Xin Zhao's mouth twitched. In Xin Zhao's eyes, Haifeng's left hand firmly holds the yellow joystick in front of him to control the direction. The right hand slammed on the launch button for a while. Although the operation is very ferocious. But isn't this special code just plain electric? What's so hard about it? That's it. The two top warships salute each other with artillery fire thousands of miles apart. Carl finally completed the solution to the time-space shield of Demon No. 1. He made a hole under Demon 1. Hua Yi rushed in with the Sky Scum army and the triangle. Next. Although the devil fights at home. Take advantage of the terrain. But now Hua Yi is really strong. Monkey King Lena Thornton joined hands to fight Hua Yi and it was quite difficult. The triangular body has absolute suppression ability to demons. On the global side, there is a slight downturn. Demon warriors suffered heavy casualties. That is, they relied on Yuyukin, a super nurse who can give milk remotely. Otherwise, Demon 1 has long since fallen completely. Nurse, give me some milk quickly. I want them to experience the feeling of being kicked by the speed of sound. Then, the dying Avenger Quicksilver was fed a mouthful of nutrition by Yukin. Instant recovery of full blood. Then, he put on the simple version of the dark alloy armor that Dukao and Lianfeng temporarily built for him. Although not able to protect the whole body. But there is no problem in protecting some important parts. Then, soon Silver felt he could do it again. He picked up the vibranium knife reforged from the captain's smashed shield and rushed up. Started to harvest the slag. But, facing the alliance between Tianza and Triangle, a fast Silver doesn't change anything at all. This battle continued for 3 days. Sun Wukong Lena Thornton was all wounded. The soldiers of the Shangbing Company were also beaten up one by one. Jie Shaolun's great void sword was finally broken. Yukin's milk volume is also about to be hollowed out. Seeing that the earth will be completely defeated. At this time, Yifeng and the others finally came back just in time. Huh. Lang Bing, Hexy. You guys are all back, that's great, I'm just missing a left and right wing, this is perfect, ha ha ha. Hua Yi's eyes swept over He-Shi and Li Enbing wantonly. He seems to have regarded them as the women of his scumbag king. No way. Gai Sha hangs up. He could only make do with the remaining 2 old kings. But Hua Yi, the Heavenly Palace King, probably forgot to ask Yefeng's harem king's opinion. Li Enbing, I'm sorry, I ended up being the one to destroy the devil, but it's all because you betrayed me first. Carl looked at Li Enbing indifferently. Ever since he knew that Li Enbing had been harassed by Yifeng, he was already disheartened. A courier that has been dismantled. He doesn't need it anymore. Misty grass. The old lady betrayed you. When did the old lady join you with the special code? There is something wrong with the special code. Lianbing looked at the demon warrior who fell to the ground, biting Kiba and gnashing his teeth in distress. Anyway, I have strengthened Yi, conquered Madara, and broke the balance of this known universe. You have no hope. Carl shook his head. Since Lianbing and Hexie are both there, then he will get them both at once. Since there is no god in this universe who is qualified to be king, then Carl Sox had to be the king of the whole universe. But Hexie, who had seen the great power of the Pengu ruins, glanced at Carl dismissively. Carl, I feel ridiculous for your ignorance. Hexie shook his head, then looked at Yifeng and said, need help. I can help you contain the triangle. Although Madara has a very terrifying power. But Hexie has started to study the triangle a long time ago. She is sure to suppress the triangle. But obviously, Yifeng didn't need her special assistance at all. Yifeng took out a set of leather sofas from the system space. Like Geisha, he sat up with Erlang's legs crossed. Yifeng said lightly, don't be so troublesome, like this kind of miscellaneous soldiers, I can kill them with a slap. Yifeng's voice fell. Unparalleled mode is on. Terrifying power penetrated from the 9 holes of the 9 orifices golden core. Then, the night wind blew a shot. The void Mahamudra suddenly activated. A big black hand fell from the sky. Trembling sky. Although the universe is empty, but still made all kinds of unreasonable rumbling noises. This made Hexie and Lianbing tremble in their hearts. When did Yifeng learn such a terrifying attack method? Could it be that his upper limit of strength is still unknown? Anyway, whether Yifeng's combat power has shown the upper limit of Lianbing may not be known. But there is absolutely no waste strength anyway. The void big handprint comes from some great fantasy plane. It was created by the Void Emperor. Shot out. The power of the palm is infinite. It made the whole time and space tremble. In this emergency, Yi immediately activated the Void Engine and activated the dark energy in his body to ultimate. This barely blocked Yifeng's casual blow. But none of the triangles and scum he brought with him were spared. They were all smashed into pieces by Yifeng's palm. Carl's phantom body also disillusioned. But in a blink, Carl's phantom body was restored to its original state again. Very unreasonable. Chapter 425_Super Seminary ends. Fog grass. Why is this kid so strong? Carl, you are cheating on me. I haven't had enough of a good life yet. Yi's face finally showed a terrified look. One slap has so much power. Is this still Earthling? But at this point, Yi also had no choice. He has to run. He has to run. And after this run, he decided not to jump out again. Isn't it an artificial angel? That's fine too. Some food is better than hungry, right? And man-made. Many parameters can be adjusted arbitrarily. Isn't that fun too? Why can't I think about doing things with Carl? Then, without saying a word, Brother Yi created a black hole directly above his head. He was going to use the power of the black hole to contain Yifeng. Then find a chance to escape. But Yifeng casually pointed at the black hole on Yi's head. Click. Click. Ka-kacha. Fear of Boo's peerless ice demon energy suddenly launched. Under the action of the absolute zero field, everything is silent. The black hole just created by Yi, together with Yi and Carl, was instantly frozen. Then turned into powder. And then, Carl's phantom body was restored to its original state again. He smiled lightly, the corners of his mouth filled with sarcasm, looked at Yifeng and said, Night wind. It's useless. I can do an eternal with you for things like just now. Because I am a phantom. The most powerful deity in the known universe. Unless it's an attack from a void creature. Otherwise no one can hurt me. Carl's face was covered with that light-hearted look from beginning to end. Because he really didn't panic. His phantom is a product beyond this era. Don't say that other people can't hurt the phantom. He couldn't even kill himself. He believes that only phantoms are truly invincible in this world. Unless he ran to the ruins of Pengu to die. Then, Yifeng gave Carl a disdainful look and said, "Don't say it as if you've seen a void creature. You don't understand the void at all, and you don't even know what ultimate fear is." Yifeng's voice fell. He flicked his finger. A special dichroic foil the size of a fingernail visible to the naked eye was ejected by him. See this scene. Carl finally showed a look of fear. Isn't this the terrible two-dimensional force that surrounded the Pengu civilization? How could this man be driven? Then, Carl wanted to dodge though. But Yifeng's shot was extremely fast. The two-way foil stabbed Carl. That moment. Lost touch on Eternal is finally back. He hit a big urea shock. And then comfortably put a real fart. Immediately after. What greeted him was the indescribable power of Dreadboo. That force stripped Carl of his bulk. Cruelly crushed him from a three-dimensional creature to a two-dimensional creature. The change is complete in an instant. Then. That piece of two-way foil then annihilated itself with itself. Carl. Pawn. ... Yifeng solved Yi and Carl at the click of a button. This shocked the entire known universe. Major civilizations have announced that they will act in a low-key manner in the near future. The older generation has told the younger generation in their respective civilizations to never go out to cause trouble in the near future, especially not to get close to the solar system. Oh no, it is the place in the Silver River system. Especially Pan Zhen, who was still recovering from the scorching sun. He was still thinking over and over how Lai Yang could take revenge on Yifeng. But now. He gave up. It is good to be alive. Why go to death? And their main god of Liang has a very special relationship with Yifeng. What does this mean? This shows that Liang and the devil will be a family from now on. And I heard that Yifeng brought Lianbing and Angel Nebula frequently to find Hexi and Angel Yan recently. What does this mean? This shows that the relationship between demons and angels has also become confusing. Thus, the angel, the sun and the devil will be a big family in the future. Everyone does not hit their own people. Now Liang's Guotai Manan is finally okay, right? ... Pengu ruins. A small spaceship specially made by Hexi is moving slowly in the dark. In the spaceship, Yifeng's group of girls all followed him. After all, travel is boring. Everyone has to have some entertainment to relax and unwind. But needs to control the Gudodama truth-seeking ball to defend against the attacks of the surrounding two-way foils. So, Yifeng could only lie still. Let the girls take care of him in all directions. Hexi, on the other hand, took Jishin and set off on the bow of the spaceship. Although Hexi didn't want to imagine the scene in Yifeng's room when he was driving the spaceship. But the voices they made were unable to calm Hexi and his disciples. Hey, Master, do you think he is really the male god of our angels? Jishin shook his head with a wry smile. Well, from the perspective of ability, he does seem to have this strength. Hexi also shook his head. Do not know why. Hexi has always had the urge to go in and join them recently. But, after all, the apprentice is by his side. As a master, she has to be a little more reserved. You can't bring down your apprentice. Otherwise, master and apprentice join Yifeng's carnival club together. Wouldn't that look weird? Then, that's it. The spacecraft flew in the Pengu ruins for 3 consecutive months. But they could never find any information about the door. This made Yifeng quite speechless. After all, if it goes on like this, even if he has the 9 orifices golden elixir, he is afraid that he will not be able to bear it. After all, that Gudodama truth-seeking ball wasn't born out of thin air. He has to maintain it all the time, but it consumes a lot of power. Then, Yifeng is ready to ask his system for help. System, Carl Y is dead, and this plane has become completely unknown. If you don't help me, what should we do if the ultimate fear comes? Yifeng asked. Host. Isn't that the ultimate fear? Why do you think this system was restarted for 300 years? It's because this system was monitored by the so-called ultimate fear, and the other party wanted to forcibly erase this system, but this system took 300 years to successfully kill the other party. Powerful, right? Yifeng heard this. He immediately sat up from the sofa. This made Reina, who was on duty in the cabin, let out a startling cry. But Yifeng couldn't even care about Reina at this moment. Have you destroyed the ultimate fear? That is to say, in this world, as long as I don't wander in this Pengu ruins, I'm invincible. Yifeng frowned tightly. He suddenly felt as if life had lost its meaning. Because he hasn't started working hard yet, how can he be invincible? This completely fails to appreciate the open life of hard work and fun. It's so boring. By the way, what is the truth of the Pengu civilization? Why don't you give me a chance and send me in to explore? Yifeng asked unwillingly. Host. The Pengu civilization here is nothing more than a small desolate civilization in a small plain among the heavens and the world. Do you think you need to be so concerned? It is suggested here that the host should still enjoy the rest of his life. Get ready to work hard on the next plane. After all, the sign-in tasks for this plane have all been completed. The system answered Yifeng's sentence truthfully. Oh, it's all done again. If I go to the next plane, this place will still be suspended, right? Yifeng asked the most crucial question. After all, there are so many girls here who have been in love with him for a long time. Yifeng also didn't want the girls to suffer from lovesickness after he left here. Yes, this is a basic action, which can guarantee that even if the host leaves at that time, and returns in the future, the other party will have no sense of disobedience. The system replied. Well, that's not bad. How much time can I stay here? Yifeng asked again. 10 years. The system replied. Just 10 years. Then what kind of Pengu civilization am I exploring? I can't wait for the time. My goal is the Sea of Stars. Go away. Fix the 2 angels outside first. I'm going on a future journey that begins with an angel. ... I am funny separator. Actually. About the Pengu civilization. I had some very bold little ideas. But I am a novice myself. I am worried that once the plot is overexpanded, a lot of things will go wrong. So, Pengu civilization will no longer do excessive interpretation. Just think it was a super civilization that was wiped out by the heavenly path called the dove. Of course. In fact, there are already a lot of problems to write. The pace of writing Super Seminary is indeed a lot slower than Hokage. Everyday things have changed. The content of the fight was reduced. But really no way. I'm this level of flutter. I'm helpless too. In addition, don't just say I'm driving. Carefully recall the content of the first Hokage. I had written very seriously. Those originally serious words were all made up by you to become an old driver, and then I learned to drive. I'm really an honest man. Just Chan. Chapter 426_New World. Ding. The plane crossing is complete. Please enter the verification password as soon as possible. Hear this familiar system beep. Yifeng slowly opened his eyes. He rubbed the muscles on his face hard, and rubbed his eyes hard. Under the stimulation of the hands, his sluggish spirit caused by the shuttle plane finally recovered a little. About 3 minutes passed. Yifeng let out a long breath. He finally felt that the tiredness of his body had completely disappeared. Then, he entered the correct verification password. Wife 5959 Wife 08. Password verification passed. The functions of the system begin to start normally. Then, Yifeng slowly stood up from the ground. Stretch your muscles. Getting ready to observe the surroundings. But at this time, Yifeng suddenly felt that there was something wrong with his body. Huh. Where are the 9 orifices golden pills in my dantian? What about the heaven-defying waist strength that my Pengu Wushwang body brings? What's gone? Yifeng suddenly discovered that his current state was very abnormal. All the power in his body disappeared, not to mention, even many skills have become gray and unavailable. This is quite wrong. Then, Yifeng stroked his chin thoughtfully. A little analysis and calm thinking. But still can't figure out what's going on. But Yifeng didn't panic at all. Instead, he laughed inexplicably. Very good. The abuser at the beginning, right? It's no big deal. After all, I can finally experience that feeling of getting stronger through my own efforts. This is not to say Yifeng is having fun in the midst of suffering. He is really happy. Because only those who haven't opened the hang will say that the hang is cool for a while and it's always cool. And people like Yifeng who have plugins all the year round. He just thinks that life is boring. Very boring. No motivation at all. He has to work hard. He wants to be a passionate young man who uses sweat to improve himself and satisfy others. Then, just at this time, ding! You have a new check-in task, please pay attention to check it. Hear the sound of the system dispatching tasks. Yifeng smiled knowingly. Check it out. He is about to start working hard to perform his mission. Then, Yifeng opened the system's task panel. I quickly finished the first sign in task of this new plane. From the description of the task, Yifeng has already figured out where the plane he is now is. Go to the Namluo Ancient Temple in the 80th district of Biliuhun Street to sign in. The World of Death. It is not difficult to judge from the 3 words of Liuhun Street. Most of this plane is the plane of death. And Yifeng inferred from the surrounding harsh environment full of ancient winds. Where he is now. It should be the street of souls on the plane of death. All the substances in the soul world are composed of spiritual suns, so all the powers related to my fleshly body have failed. Well, this start is really challenging. Yifeng touched his chin. The soul world is composed of Ryugu Street and Saraiti. Saraiti is the core of the soul society. It was a place where only death and death's prisoners could live. Liuhun Street is divided into 80 areas according to the 4 directions of east, south, west and north. And the 80th district in each direction is the most dangerous place in Liuhun Street. Especially the North 80 district, where Yifeng was going to perform the sign-in task this time. The captain of the 11th division of the 13th team of the goddess, Kenpachi Zakagi, was born in the North 80 district. Anyway, let's find out exactly where I am now. Yifeng shook his head. Although Ryu Street is dangerous, Yifeng's ghost can't be taken out now because of the spirit and the real thing. He lost most of his combat power. But, after all, Yifeng is someone who has worked hard on the Hokage plane. Master of all kinds of taijutsu postures. So, it shouldn't be a problem for Yifeng to deal with ordinary dangers with his amazing fighting consciousness. Then, Yifeng picked a random direction, ready to go out of the alley first and find someone to inquire about the news. But right now, She, of hope embroidered on his chest suddenly walked slowly from the opposite side of Yifeng. The Ronin warrior has a knife on his waist. There was a scar in the shape of a centipede on his ugly face. Very scary. Stop. The scarred man looked at Yifeng with a grin. It was as if the hungry big bad wolf was staring at a Tyrannosaurus Rex in his fiercest form. Of course. Old fried dough sticks like the man with scars actually understand the truth that people can't look good. But a guy who doesn't even have a knife. Absolutely a weakling. This is the most basic principle of Liuhun Street. It is also the hardest truth. I planted this tree, and I drove this alley. If you want to pass by, take off your pants. The scarred man pulled out the knife from his waist. With his superb painting skills, he drew a small tree on the ground. It is clear. He is ready to rob Yifeng. This also made Yifeng quite speechless. You said that if you plant a real tree here, and then you come to GSA, he won't say anything. But is it okay if you draw a fake tree to rob? Are all robbers so unprofessional now? Then, Yifeng stepped on the tree drawn by the scarred man. Sand sculpture, where is this place? How to get to Beibaishi district? Is there a place called Nanluo Ancient Temple there? Yifeng directly asked a few questions that he was most concerned about. But the scarred man was slightly startled, but then burst out laughing. See this scene. Yifeng frowned. Right. He is neither the god of the ninja world in the world of Hokage nor the king of the harem in the world of super gods now. How could others cooperate with him like this? Then, Yifeng was the happiest when the scar man laughed. Raise your feet suddenly. It hit the most painful part of the man with great precision. After the sound of chickens flying eggs fell. The scarred man knelt directly on the ground. It's like being moved by Yifeng's sincerity and falling to the ground. You're too ignorant of martial arts. I didn't even flinch. The scarred man clutched his trousers and curled up in pain on the ground. What? Could Master Ma also come to your soul world? You even know this kind of trick? Yifeng let out a sneer. Subsequently, a set of hair extensions was arranged. Beating the scarred man directly makes life doubtful. And then, mouth escape really became very easy. Next, with the enthusiastic help of Mr. Scar, Yifeng finally figured out where he was now. This is the North 80 district. The outermost periphery of Biliu Street. It was not far from Yifeng's check-in and check-in task location. Chapter 427 _ A World of the Jungle. In the North 80 district, there are countless Ronin warriors like Scarman. Although they are rooted in Liuhun Street like a cancer. But because here is a long distance from Sioringte, the god of death generally doesn't come here to meddle in his business. As for the Nanluo Temple, the scarred man also knows a little bit about it. It is said that there used to be a very prosperous temple. But now, there is just a dilapidated old temple, situated on the edge of the great wilderness on the banks of the indeterminate river. Indefinite riverside. The great wilderness. What kind of mess is this all about? As the god of death who stayed up late in my last life a fake. After Yifeng left the alley, he couldn't help but be the first to complain. The outermost part of Liuhun Street is called District 80. On the periphery of the 80 district, there is a river called Wooding River. Wooding River is a circular river. The entire Ryahun Street and Seraiti are surrounded by a circle. The place that crosses the Wooding River is called the Great Wilderness. The spirits in the Great Wilderness are chaotic. Spiritual turbulence is everywhere. And the spirits there are also completely different from the spirits on the Wooding River side. The spirits there are corrosive to the soul. Ordinary souls simply do not dare to set foot in the Great Wilderness easily. So, no one knew what it was like in the Great Wilderness. Rumored. The whole world was originally a wilderness. Later, the god of creation was born. With the power of Jingtianwei and earth, he opened up the three worlds, and this is the world of corpse souls, the present world, and the virtual circle. According to Yifeng's guess, most of the creation gods in the ordinary population are the so-called spirit kings. But what exactly is the Great Wilderness? The night wind is really unclear. After all, most of the whole world has been transformed by some kind of mysterious power. But anyway, Nanluo Ancient Temple is in the circle of Wooding River. So, signing up this time isn't too dangerous. ... Indefinite river. The river water here is not really water. Rather, it is a liquid substance formed by the gathering of special spirits. They are eerily purple-black. It's pretty dangerous at a glance. But, fortunately, King Ling set up a barrier on the Wooding River back then. Blocked the invasion of those terrifying substances. Namluo Ancient Temple is on the Wooding River. From its Madara barbed courtyard wall. This ancient temple is really very old. Now, a group of Ronin warriors are gathering in the courtyard of Namluo Ancient Temple. There was a bonfire in the center of the courtyard. A fat wild boar was roasting on the bonfire. In fact, ordinary souls living in the soul world are not hungry. They only need to add a little water every day to maintain their life form. But a soul with a powerful Reiatsu is different. The stronger the power, that hunger is even stronger. It is not difficult to see from the expectant gaze of this group of Ronin towards the fat pig. They should be masters. But the boar is not cooked yet. They are waiting to eat. A habitual entertainment project is going on. Hey. This new little girl is very energetic. After being beaten by Lao Su, she still hasn't died. Is this saying that Lao Su can't kill her alone? The man's voice fell. All the Ronin around gave out cruel laughter. Brother Hu, are you dying? Do you want brothers to help you? That's right, you obviously have no strength when you with the whip, you are arrogant. Damn it, what do you guys know? Before I abused her, I had done it 7 or 8 times. Isn't it normal to be fake? 7 or 8 times. Didn't we catch her half an hour ago? 15 is 525 113 515, Brother Tiger is getting bigger. In front of the Ronin stood a stake of a blood-stained Madara. The stake is about 1 person tall. A petite woman was tied to it. The woman's clothes were shattered. Her long hair fell down her waist. There were bloodstains all over his body. Not moving at all. There was no expression on his face. Even the expression of despair has been lost. If not, you can still see the rise and fall of her chest. Yifeng would probably think she was already a dead person. Nightwing sighed. Jumped off the wall. No way. If he had come earlier, he might have saved the woman's life. But when he came here, the woman has been tortured beyond human form. Die. It's just a matter of time. This is the helplessness of the weak. She didn't even have a chance to wait until the strong came to save her. After the night wind appeared, all the Ronin warriors in the courtyard were slightly startled. Subsequently, the man at the head, called Brother Hu, looked at the knife on Yifeng's waist, and said in a cold voice, "Who is your excellency? Why did you break into the territory of our axe gang? Do you die?" Yifeng gave him a cold look. He didn't bother to deal with each other at all. Because their cruel demeanor has already made Yifeng have killing intent. Yifeng was about to draw his sword to kill the Ronin in front of him. At this time, the system sign in end beep sounded first. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in and getting a reward. Reiatsu, Ultimate. Reiatsu. The most fundamental power in the world of death. The higher the spiritual pressure, the stronger the spiritual power. The combat power is naturally stronger. The system sound fell. Yifeng instantly felt that his whole body was full of strength. You bastard. My boss is asking you something. What kind of shit are you in? I looked at the kid like a mute, maybe his knife was picked up. That's right, let's go together. Catch him. I've had enough fun with the female lately, and I'm ready to play with the male. A time. The Ronin raved about Ultimate. Just listen to it and you can see what their character is like. Then, Yifeng let out a cold snort. At the same time, a terrifying Reiatsu swept out, like a tide, on all the Ronin. That heavy pressure crushed all the Ronin's calf bones directly, and let them kneel on the ground in another way. At this moment, the cruelty in the pupils of the Ronin warriors disappeared instantly. Leftover. There is only infinite horror. One blow does not kill you, so that you can feel the pain before dying. Now, you can die. The indifferent voice of the night wind fell. Ultimate level Reiatsu in the body was completely released. Boom, boom, boom. All the Ronin warriors were immediately crushed into powder by Yi Feng's spiritual pressure. No resistance. After Yi Feng had dealt with this group of Ronin warriors, he came to the woman who was tied to the stake. At this time, the poor woman had completely lost her breath. No way. Soul world is not heaven. In such a special world, weakness is the original sin. Chapter 428_Seritsu's reaction. The woman exhaled. Her corpse soon turned into a spirit and disappeared. Everything in the soul realm is composed of spiritual suns. If a weaker soul dies, it will directly evaporate and become a spiritual child. Yi Feng looked at the corpse that disappeared in front of him. He shook his head silently. My heart is full of emotion. Actually, the present world in the world of death has clearly developed into a modern society with normal order, and is the soul realm with the most superior resources in the three realms. This kind of thing still happens. This made Yi Feng really feel a little puzzled. But he was too lazy to think too much. Anyway, encounter injustice. Just kill. ... Just when Yi Feng killed this group of Ronin warriors, inside the Sarange, the 5th Division Captain Aizen Sosuke, who was practicing calligraphy and cultivating his sentiments in the study room, suddenly flicked the tip of his pen. Immediately, he pushed the black-rimmed glasses on the bridge of his nose. Glancing towards the north, an intriguing smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Is Reiatsu so powerful that it can be sensed in Sarote? He must be a very interesting person. Yes. Go and investigate. Yi Feng just turned on the fire. The wave of spiritual pressure that erupted was very strong. So, except for the blue dye, he also drew the attention of many captains to him. 12th Division. Technology Development Bureau. The leader, Nimori, is conducting a very precise experiment. In front of him was a Yingbang instrument. On the left is a yellow rocker. On the right are 6 circular buttons. But because of Yi Feng's sudden burst of spiritual pressure, he was taken aback by the fact that he pressed a wrong button, causing him to lose all his work before doing the experiment for 3 days. This made him very angry. Then, his face suddenly showed a look of exasperation, grabbed the hair of the vice captain Ni Yinmeng beside him, and pressed it on the experimental table. Go. Find out the guy who influenced my experiment. I will make him pay dearly. ... 11th Team. Zaraki Kenpachi was originally sitting on the roof with Yakianu, staring at the clouds in the sky in a daze. That was suddenly passed on to the Reiatsu in Seirenge. Zaragi Kenpachi was slightly taken aback. Subsequently, he grinned. He showed a warlike smile. Shaojian, it seems to be the North 80 district, it's your home. Well, let's go and have a look. Okay, I hope I won't get lost this time. ... First Team. The chief captain, Yamamoto Moto Ryusai, is playing chess with his disciple, the 7th Division Captain, Jingle Chun. After the two felt Yi Feng's amazing spiritual pressure, Captain Yamamoto's hand paused slightly. The spiritual pressure on Liuhun Street can be transmitted to this place through the soul-shielding film and can be sensed by the old man, which means that the other party's spiritual pressure is very powerful. Captain Yamamoto looked at Jingle Chunchui and said lightly, your 8th Division team. It's the intelligence squad, take someone to investigate. Yeah, I wanted to play chess with peace of mind, but I didn't expect such an incident to happen. Jingle Chunchui tilted his chin, put the sunspot in his hand back into the chess box, shrugged, and said with a smile. It's boring to play chess with an old man, but work is even more annoying. Captain Yamamoto also put the pieces back into the box. He picked up the crutches beside him and stood up. He raised his eyelids slightly, glancing towards the north. Let's go as soon as possible, Shiratsu can't let go of such an unidentified powerful soul. If you can recruit, try to recruit. Yamamoto Yuan Luzai Shigekuni said in a deep voice. Understood, I'll take Shaoshishu to investigate as soon as possible. Jingle Chunshui grabbed the bamboo hat from his side and put it on his head, then glanced at Yamamoto Yuanugai Shigekuni and asked, That's right, what if the other party doesn't accept our offer? If the other party really doesn't want to use it for me, then kill it. Captain Yamamoto said unceremoniously. I would rather kill by mistake than misplace it. The original Gote 13 was a killer group founded by Yamamoto Motoyanagi Yaguni. So, he is not an indecisive person. In places like Liuhun Street, although special governance is not required, it must not be messed up. Indefinite river. The roof of Nanluo Ancient Temple. Toxian is the first person to come to this place. But, when he arrived here, Yifeng had already left. But, although the target person disappeared. But Dong Xianyao did not leave immediately. After all, it is also rare for him to have such an unreasonable but somewhat reasonable reason to leave Saraiti. So, he naturally wants to stay out for a while. And, outside the Nanluo Ancient Temple is the Wooding River. The scenery is very nice. Although he can't see it. But listen to those terrifying winds from the Great Wasteland. He also felt very relieved. Not much effort. Kiraku Chunsui rushed over with the vice captain Aiz Naneo. After they saw Dong Xian wanted. Came up to say hello. Yeah, Captain Dongxian is here too. Shouldn't the other party have already been killed by Captain Dongxian? Jingle Chunshui shrugged, took off the bamboo hat on his head, and looked in the direction of Wooding River. Beijing band leader, with your eyesight, you should be able to tell that I have never fought against each other here. Dong Xian responded mildly. Aha, that means, the other party ran away before Captain Dongxian came here. Jingle Chunshui smiled indifferently and said. Running after pretending to be forced, this guy is really difficult to handle, so just go back and return to life, and say our mission failed. Captain, don't say such depressing words. Vice Captain Aiz Naneo pushed the frame on the bridge of his nose, looked at the courtyard with a solemn expression, and said. From the feeling of the spiritual child left here, the target mysterious person probably just had a simple explosion of spiritual pressure. Later. It seemed that he never used that mighty power again. But it is also for this reason. We have to investigate the identity of the other party even more. Listen to the analysis of his own vice captain. Jingle Chunshui sighed. Sure enough, when something troublesome occurs, it is very annoying. Captain Tosin, you came earlier than us. Have you ever found something unusual here? Aiz Naneo asked Tosin. Abnormal. Dong Xian wanted to point to the wooden stake in front of him with a gloomy expression. Judging from the fluctuations of the spirits here and the clothes on the ground, there should be a lot of ronin in the yard who were directly crushed to death by the mysterious man, and from the wooden stake, it seemed that a woman was originally tied. I don't need to say more about the rest. After Dongxian came here, the reason why he did not continue to follow Yifeng. It was because he deduced what Yifeng had done. In his opinion. That belongs to justice. Chapter 429 _ Please let the mushroom stand up. Aiz Naneo carefully checked around the stake. Then. She picked up the bloody Madara's tattered and tattered women's coat. A white light appeared on the lens. Captain Dongxian, I understand what you mean, but, a strong man like this, the Guardian 13 team must not let him stay in Liuhun Street. Aiz Naneo is the vice captain of the intelligence division. She is very aware of the madness of those villains in Liuhun Street. So, from the current situation, no matter who the mysterious person who exposed the powerful Reiatsu was, he shouldn't be a bad guy. But no way. The commander-in-chief's order was clear. The 8th Division must find out the origin of the opponent. He must be recruited to the Guardian 13 team. Yi Feng, who left the ancient temple of Nanluo, carried the roasted wild boar with a wooden stick on his shoulders, and was walking all the way from Beibaishi district to the direction of Jinglingting. On the way, although Yi Feng also encountered some Ronin warriors who did not have long eyes, but they were all defeated by Yi Feng's understatement with a knife. To be honest, today's Yi Feng has once again become a strong man through his efforts. So, he was going to visit the west gate of Saranje. On the one hand, Yi Feng is not a person who likes to stay in harsh environments for a long time. On the other hand, he has already received the second check-in task from the system. The content of this task is to ask Yi Feng to sign in at the True Spiritual Arts Academy in Seoringe. Now that the mission is out, most of the True Central Spiritual Arts Academy is recruiting. So, Yi Feng is going to have a look there. After all, it is rare for his system to be so cooperative to allow him to work hard on tasks. How could someone be lazy at night? So, work hard to get stronger. It all makes sense. 7 days later, Yi Feng came to the west gate of Xiaolingting without any danger. If you want to go to the registration place of the True Spiritual Art Academy, you must go through the Beidamen on the west side. At this time, the white door is half open. The goalkeeper Si Danfeng and a dozen gods of death were guarding near Beidamen. After Yi Feng came here, he explained his purpose to the god of death guarding the gate. Death, name. Night Wind, Yamanaka Night Wind. Grim Reaper, well, I can feel the spiritual pressure fluctuations in my body, let's go in. That's it. Yi Feng managed to catch the last exam train into the examination room. There are many more people who have already queued up for the test here than Yi Feng imagined. In the team, the vast majority are civilians from Liuxian Street. There are some civilians who may have been failing for decades, but they still haven't given up and come every year to take the registration exam on time. Because, as long as you have obtained the admission qualifications to enter the True Spiritual Arts Academy, their souls will undergo earth-shaking changes. Junyang Spiritual Arts Academy is the only death training academy in the Soul Society. However, the status here is high. However, the True Spiritual Arts Academy will not discriminate against these civilians who were born in Liuxian Street. Follow the rules. As long as the soul has a certain level of spiritual power in the body, it can enter the Beidamen to register for the exam. Just pass the exam. You will be able to enroll smoothly. After enrollment, they can learn the 4 lessons of Reaper together with members of the nobles and the descendants of the 13th Guardian team. Cut fists away. Even if they cannot graduate successfully in the future due to qualification problems, you can still learn something. When they return to Street of Souls, they are also very good beings. At this point, True Central Spiritual Arts Academy is still very fair. True Spiritual Arts Academy has indeed screened out a lot of outstanding masters from Ryahun Street for the Gote 13 team. For example, Ichimaru Silver and Hitsugaya Toshiro. Little brother, dude, I think you're a bit raw. This is your first time to take the test, right? Yi Feng was lining up quietly at the end of the line. Suddenly, behind him came a bald head smiling and chatting with him. By the way, your knife looks good. What district are you from? The bald old man asked stupidly. North 80th District, Yi Feng said honestly. Hi. After hearing Yi Feng's answer, the bald brother and the candidates lined up around him. All took a breath of cold air, and took the initiative to maintain a certain distance with Yi Feng. After all, that's District 80. The people there are not good men and women. To them, it is better not to provoke or not to provoke. For such a result, Yi Feng was also very satisfied. Otherwise, isn't it annoying to always have someone chattering in your ear? The introductory test at True Spirit Academy is very simple and straightforward. There is only one thing that the college sees. That is the spiritual pressure of candidates. The way to test Reiatsu is also very simple. There is a pool filled with white liquid in the middle of the examination room. Said it was a pool. But in fact, the liquid substances inside are special substances with extremely high concentration of spiritual particles. It looks full of life. In this pool, there are 10 little mushrooms full of spiritual power floating around. Candidates who take the entry test can play a test role as long as they inject their spiritual power into this pool. Because these mushroom girls are very sensitive to Reiatsu, after they sense the tester's spiritual pressure, will automatically stand up. The examiner judges the candidate's spiritual pressure level based on the number of mushrooms standing up. 6 mushrooms are the pass line, which means that candidates can successfully enter the school. 7 mushrooms is an excellent line, which means that the candidates already have the spiritual pressure of ordinary death warriors, and there is basically no major problem in graduating. If there are candidates, you can make the 8 little mushrooms stand up. So, such candidates are very rare in the future True Central Spiritual Arts Academy. Because this means that the candidate has already attained the Reiatsu level of the captain of the 13th team of Godu. Although having a seat officer Reiatsu does not mean that the candidate has the qualifications to become a seat officer. But as long as a candidate like this is not particularly bad at slashing fists and walking away ghosts, generally do not wait for graduation. There will already be squads vying for it in secret. As for 9 mushrooms and 10 mushrooms, they represent Reiatsu at the vice captain and captain levels, respectively. Candidates like this, True Central Spiritual Arts Academy has never seen it before. Hey, fail. Next one. The examiner sighed as he looked at a little mushroom girl floating in the pool. There are a lot of test takers today. But the strength is as spicy as a few days ago. Don't say that it made the 7 little mushrooms stand up. Few even reach the passing level. If it goes on like this, then his enrollment performance this year will be affected properly. Yamanaka Yefeng, you can start your show. The examiner glanced at Yifeng weakly. He felt that an ordinary guy as tall as Yifeng was unlikely to be a genius. Then, Yifeng walked to the pool. Start pouring spiritual power into the pool. Chapter 430_ Please make the teacher scream. Yifeng injected spiritual power into the test pool. There was a slight tremor in the pool. The 6 little mushroom girls floated up in an instant. This scene not only made the examiner look dumbfounded. Yifeng was also stunned. What's happening here? He just released a little bit of Reiatsu casually. Does this reach the pass line? Is the life source level of this god of death so bad? Just when Yifeng felt surprised, the chief examiner came to Yifeng's side with a flash of excitement. In the past, when everyone tested, they let the mushrooms stand up one by one. This one is fine. Up to 6 erected. Judging by the examiner's knowledge, this guy is no ordinary person. Yefeng-kun, please use more force, don't stop, try to make little mushrooms stand a few more. The examiner swallowed. It is rare for him to meet a potential seed player like Yifeng. In case the night wind can make the 8 little mushrooms stand up, then his performance in recruiting this time was directly up to the standard. But Yifeng frowned slightly and said, didn't you say that you passed the 6 points? Do I still need to continue outputting? It's necessary. Teacher just felt a little excited. How could you just stop like this? The examiner began to persuade Yifeng earnestly. Young people have to be self-motivated. How can they just pass the grade? This is like when we men are there. Can we just pass the pass? We must pursue a more pleasant state. Yifeng heard that this is not a particularly normal nor a particularly appropriate metaphor. Silently nodded. If the examiner said something else, the night wind may also pass by. But when it comes to that, Yifeng is naturally doing his part. That's right. They're talking about trying to get stronger. Very positive energy. Yifeng saw that the examiner was so enthusiastic. Then, he stepped up a little more. Moment. 3 more little mushroom girls stood up. This made the examiner look as excited as eating jinkala. Yifeng classmate, please do your best to output. Don't have any concerns. Let the teacher see the limit you can reach, and let the teacher scream. The examiner's voice began to tremble. Because this is 9 little mushroom girls. Represents Yifeng's Reiatsu at the level of vice captain. This is the ultimate genius that the true Central Spiritual Arts Academy has never had before. Did it fall into his hands? God bless me too. Then, Yifeng, who originally planned to retain a little strength, was encouraged by this teacher. A little more force. Then, boom. The pool shook violently. All 10 mushrooms in the pool stood up at once. And blast at the same time. Those white liquids in the pool blew out. The sprinkled chief examiner has a look on his face. But the examiner was not unhappy with these little details. Instead, he licked the corner of his mouth excitedly. He grabbed Yifeng's hands. Fate, my King Izumi's wealth has finally been transferred this time. ... Normally, 6 mushroom girls can already be regarded as passing. And Yifeng directly crushed all the mushroom girls. Such a Reiatsu level has already reached the captain level. Of course. This does not mean that a Reiatsu at the level of a captain can serve as the captain of the Gotei 13. The rank tested in this way is only the lower limit of the captain level. And actually, every captain of the 13th team of the goddess can crush the 10 mushroom girls here. Even some powerful vice captains can do it to this extent. But, in the eyes of the examiner, Yifeng is just an entry-level novice. He already has this level of Reiatsu now. Then he will definitely become the mainstay of the Soul Society Jinchuriki column in the future. Is there a reservation for the old driver's seat? So, Teacher Fugi instantly lowered his posture. Handed a piece of spiritual wood that recorded Yifeng's exam results to Yifeng. Student Yifeng, this is your enrollment certificate. I will arrange a special person to take you to the academy to report. Wang Izumi said richly. After all, newly admitted students tend to be more buoyant. Especially those guys from aristocratic backgrounds. In case they do not know how to cause trouble in front of Yifeng, they will be slapped in the face again. It's easy to get into trouble. So, Wang Izumi was rich and noble, so he arranged for a special person to take Yifeng to school. Avoided a bunch of little wolf dogs being slapped in the face. At least 30,000 words are omitted. Okay, then thank you teacher. Yifeng shrugged indifferently, followed behind a beautiful senior, walked out of the testing field, went through the admission procedures smoothly, and came to True Central Spiritual Arts Academy. Ding! It is detected that the host has arrived at the check-in location, and the countdown begins. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in. Get Reward 1. Ghost Road Grandmaster. Reward 2. Shunpo Grandmaster. The sound of the system fell. That familiar indescribable force has done familiar indescribable things to Yifeng. But Yifeng frowned. Onigiri refers to advanced incantations that only gods of death can use. It is divided into 3 types: broken way, bound way and return way. Backtracking is a healing technique. There is only one. But there are 99 kinds of breaking the way and binding the way. System, why are the broken and bound paths in my skill bar only below number 81? Is your ghost path a castration version? Yifeng asked the system curiously in his mind. It's just the Grandmaster. If you want to obtain the complete ghost skills, please continue to work hard. The system responded to Yifeng seriously. Well, sure enough, you still have to work hard to become stronger. Yifeng nodded solemnly. Although he is not particularly fond of this type of fighting style. But the heart that strives to become stronger is the same. Actually, Yifeng's strength is now very strong. The Reiatsu in his body is at the ultimate level. Has far surpassed the ordinary captain. In the entire Gotei 13 team, only Aizen, Yamamoto, and Kenpachi Zakagi can compare with Yifeng. As for overall combat power, Yifeng's body skills and knife skills are very superb. If Gito can use it, this knife alone is estimated to have been able to walk sideways. So, Yifeng's current shortcoming is actually in the aspect of weapons. Fortunately, he has successfully enrolled. Freshmen will have the opportunity to go to Hazama and choose a shallow fight tomorrow. So, what kind of Zanpakuto will he have in the future? Nightwind is looking forward to it. He felt that with his luck and character, he would definitely get a very good Zanpakuto. Chapter 431 Aizen invites. 1 Team Quarters. The Commander-in-Chief Yamamoto Motoyugai Shigekuni temporarily summoned all the captains of the Gotei 13 teams. The question of the mysterious powerhouse in Ryahun Street was discussed. HMPH, obviously he has such a powerful spiritual pressure, but he only dares to hide his head and show his tail. I think he is probably not a good person. Niyuli said sharply. Beijing band leader, I heard that your 8th division has investigated in Liuhun Street. It's been 7 days, haven't they found any clues? Namori's experiment failed. There are many reasons. But he thinks it was all the fault of you-know-who. It wasn't his operation at all. I'm really sorry, Captain Ni, the other party is acting very secretly. We have found many informants in the North 80 district, but none of them have encountered the mysterious powerhouse with a powerful spiritual pressure. Jingle Chunchui shrugged helplessly. Yifeng is not the kind of novice who floats into the sky as soon as he gains strength. After experiencing the ultimate, spiritual pressure burst, he already understood the spiritual pressure in his body. So, he only released a little bit when he signed up for the True Spiritual Art Academy. There was no second full blast at all. Jingle Chunchui naturally couldn't find any clues. Of course. This is not to say that Yifeng wants to hide his strength on purpose. But Yifeng was originally a strong man. There is no need to show his power to others at all. Unfortunately, if I hadn't gotten lost, maybe I could have gotten there before you guys that day, so that the other party wouldn't run away. Zaraki Kenpachi shook his head in disappointment. It was rare for him to find a strong Reiatsu opponent this time. But he actually got lost every day. Very heartbroken. Hee, isn't it normal for Captain Zaraki to get lost? If I don't get lost, I would feel a little weird. Ichimaru Silver squinted his eyes, and his face always revealed a smile. No one could see his heart. The real thought, but well, this also shows a problem, that is, the monitoring system of our soul society is too bad. The world of Grim Reaper is really a very strange world. The speed of technological development in the present world far exceeds that of the soul world. Take monitoring, for example. Although the soul world also has bacteria and insects that can monitor the god of death. But this kind of monitoring cannot cover the entire soul society. Efficiency is pretty poor. At this time, the commander-in-chief, Yamamoto Moto Ryusai Shigekuni, stabbed the crutch in his hand on the ground. Then, he got up from his chair. Captains, this person is mysterious and powerful. If he has bad intentions for the soul realm, we, as the guardian of the soul realm, must find him as soon as possible. Yamamoto Yuanyugai Shigekuni slightly raised his left eye. There was a sigh of relief. Let all the captains present quiet down. The world of souls is not an absolutely safe place. From time to time, there will be calamities intruding here. Although the invaders would be defeated by the Guardian 13 every time, they would certainly have a certain impact on the soul society. So, Shigekuni Yamamoto Uenyanagi has zero tolerance for such incidents that will affect the stability of the soul society. Old man, don't be too pessimistic, maybe the other party is not the enemy. Jingle Chunchui shrugged. There are always some souls that are special. They came to the soul world from the present world, and they were born with super spiritual pressure. Just find them. That's it with the right guidance. Speaking of this, Genryujai-sensei, I just received a message not long ago. The captain of the 13th Division, Shiro Yukitaki suddenly stood up, coughed a few times, and then continued to explain. I heard that there was a student with a captain-level spiritual pressure at the True Spiritual Academy yesterday. His name is Yamanaka Yefeng. I think there may be a connection between the two. Oh, Captain Yamamoto raised his eyebrows when he heard the news and said solemnly, whether the two are related or not, this is indeed good news for me. The True Spiritual Arts Academy is a place to send talents to the 13th team of the Guardian. There are candidates who have captain-level Reiatsu to apply. This is naturally a pie that fell from the sky. Ah, did you already have a captain-level Reiatsu before entering school? It seems that Captain Hitsugaya and I are going to be surpassed. Ichimaru Silver chuckled. Ichimaru Silver and Hitsugaya Toshiro are geniuses. It normally takes 6 years for the True Spiritual Academy to graduate. But Hitsugaya Toshiro successfully graduated in just 2 years. Ichimaru Silver was only used for 1 year. But when they were in school, Reiatsu is only at the level of an officer. So, how long will it take for this new talent to graduate? Everyone is looking forward to it. Well, such a talented student, I naturally have to guide me carefully. Captain Yamamoto nodded, and then asked, the old man plans to send someone to the Junyang Spiritual Arts Academy first, and talk to the man named Yamanaka Yefeng. Let the talented students get in touch, I don't know which captain has this interest. Genius. Then let me do it. I've always been interested in genius. When Zaraki Kenpachi heard the words, the corners of his mouth grinned, revealing a mouthful of white fang. He does like geniuses. But his preferred way is to chop with a knife. So, although Zaraki Kenpachi took the initiative to ask the commander-in-chief. But how could Captain Yamamoto ask Kenpachi Zaki to perform such a task? Although he is old. But it's by no means old-fashioned. Captain Zaraki, it's not suitable for you to go. Captain Yamamoto shook his head, then glanced at the other captains and asked, anyone else willing? Let me go. At this time, the captain of the 5th Division, Lan Ransu Yusuk, stood up with a good-hearted smile on the corner of his mouth, and said in a calm voice. Captain, I am the special calligraphy teacher of Junyang Spiritual Art. It should be the most suitable for me to contact him. Yamamoto Motoyanagi Saijokuni gave Aizen a meaningful look. Nodded. Captain Aizen is quite a suitable candidate, then leave this matter to Captain Aizen to handle it, and the meeting will be dismissed. The True Spiritual Arts Academy was the place where talents were screened for the Gotei 13th team. A student like this, who has a captain-level Reiatsu at the beginning. Definitely a focus for the future. But this concern should not be too obvious. Otherwise, maybe it will change the other person's mind. So, let Aizen, who has the identity of a teacher, pretend to contact each other casually. Indeed a very good choice. The next day. The opening ceremony of the True Spirit Academy has ended successfully. Under the leadership of the head teacher, the freshman class came to Haza and began to choose shallow play. Good morning, all new students. The space in front of you is called the Narrow Room, which is the place where the soul world is specially used to store shallow fights. Wait a minute, the teacher will help you open the entrance to the Narrow Room. After everyone enters, you must listen carefully to the sound of the sword and your own inner voice, and then choose a shallow punch that is most suitable for you. But you only have an hour. Chapter 432 Soul of the Night Wind. Shallow play is the original form of Zanpakudo. All the shallow fights in the Soul Society were created by Wang Yu, the two house masters of the Phoenix Hall of Team Zero, God of Swords. When the owner of the shallow fight integrates his own soul into the shallow fight, after giving birth to a unique sword soul, it can be called Zanpakuto. And the so-called Zanpakuto liberation means that the owner of Zanpakuto has been recognized by the soul of the sword. Soul of the sword told the owner of Zanpakuto his name. The owner of Zanpakuto can free Zanpakuto by calling out the name of the sword soul in the liberation language. Gain great power. Although the students of the True Spiritual Arts Academy have not yet officially become a Grim Reaper, but they have already qualified for temporary borrowing for shallow play. Just graduate successfully. Join the Gote 13. They will be able to permanently obtain the qualification to use the shallow hit. So, after the class teacher finished this vivid opening remarks, most freshmen feel compelled to start choosing right away. After all, everyone knows that Zanpakuto is a very important factor to the Shinigami. If you can choose a Zanpakuto with the ability to hang the sky, then their status will be stable in the future. But in the Night Wind, this is pure bullshit. Although each shallow hit has its own name, but their abilities are not limited. When Ermewu Wangyu created the shallow fight, he endowed the shallow fight with infinite potential. The master of the shallow fight establishes a communication between the soul and the original sword soul of the shallow fight. Fusion. This finally determines what Zanpakuto's abilities are. In other words, when a god of death dies, his Zanpakuto will revert to a shallow hit. As for the death god who inherited this shallow blow, his future sword soul still has the same name as the previous one, but what his abilities are is unknown. So, all shallow hits will be the same except for the color of the handle and the future name that will be different. So, after the Night Wind entered the narrow space, it came directly to the position where the first shallow hit was stored. He was going to pick a random one and go straight out. But his bold idea surprised other students. Is he going to choose that knife? My brother is in the 3rd grade. I heard my brother say that no one will choose the knife at the door. It should be the most rubbish knife. Then why did Yi Feng choose this one? Maybe it's because people rely on him to keep their spirits high, so they don't care about Zanpakuto. Sure enough, the world of genius is not something we can understand. Che, what do you know? The battle between the gods of death is actually a battle between Zanpakuto. Reiatsu is a piece of shit. This Yifeng precipice is already abolished. That's it. Yifeng grabbed the first knife at the door with everyone's astonished eyes. Then, he pulled it out. Just when Yifeng pulled out the knife in front of him, a multicolored light suddenly shot out. Everyone's jaw dropped. This knife-born vision. The Shinigami in charge of Natsuma couldn't help but let out an exclamation. He has been running the narrow room for hundreds of years. Although there are many people who take away the shallow fight in the future, it will awaken the ability to make people feel shocked. But he had never seen any shallow play that would add drama to himself. So, what the hell is going on with this knife? Hi. Isn't this a magic sword? What kind of power will it awaken? It will definitely blow the sky, right? It's really exciting. I knew I would have chosen this one. It was my 3rd-year brother who made a mistake. Sure enough, the older brother cheated on the younger brother. Then, everyone present was boiling. Especially those who were still secretly laughing at Yifeng just now. They can't wait to go back in time. Then, they came to choose the shallow punch at the door. But Yifeng shook his head indifferently. What's the situation? Doesn't it say that all shallow hits are the same? What the hell are you doing? Are you sure in the shallow fight world? Then, Yifeng released his spiritual suppression to suppress the random glowing light hit, and left the narrow room in the surprise of everyone. After Yifeng left Hazza, he returned to the classroom. At this time, it's still early for the official class. Then, Yifeng decided to try sword meditation first. I don't know what kind of sword soul will awaken from my sword in the future. Yifeng muttered to himself, and then took out the textbook that the academy gave him. Daozen is a method used to assist the master of the shallow punch to infiltrate the soul into the shallow punch. Even though Yifeng has not learned it. But Yifeng, after all, has the ability of Grandmaster to cross 3 worlds. He opened the textbook that recorded the method of sword meditation, and after a brief look, he already had a general understanding of how to use sword meditation. Then, Yifeng sat cross-legged in his seat. Put the shallow punch horizontally on your knees. The reiatsu within the body covers the entire blade of the shallow strike. Close your eyes. Began to enter the state of sword zen. Actually, according to common sense, it is very difficult to sense the inner sword soul space through the sword zen, and to merge with the original sword soul to give birth to a unique sword soul. But maybe it's really because Yifeng's shallow play is very special. It only took him less than 5 minutes. He successfully entered the special world where the soul of the sword resides. Perceived the existence of the soul of the sword that belongs to Zanpakuto is fused. Now, Yifeng stood in the sword soul space. There was smoke all around. Can't see the surroundings at all. Could it be that my Zanpakuto's ability is the most ridiculous smoke ability? Yifeng frowned, and a wave of spiritual pressure burst into the air, dispelling the nasty fog in front of him. Then, the true face of Yifeng's sword soul space was finally revealed. The ground here is grass green. Brilliantly green. Very nice. Surrounded by huge yuhi-colored wooden walls. There is nothingness outside the walls. The effective space in the entire blade soul space does not seem to be very large. Maybe not the same as others. Where's my sword soul? Is that ghost in the middle the sword soul? Yifeng frowned. In the middle of green grass. There is a white object that looks like a cuboid. In the center of the cuboid, there is a big West, written in blood yuhi. Yifeng calmly analyzed and thought for a while. He probably already had a conclusion in his mind. It's not. As the west wind in Mahjong. My sword soul is a Mahjong master. Yifeng walked up to Zaifeng, with doubts on his face and asked, Sure, are you my sword soul? Chapter 433_Poor Soul. Knife Soul heard Yifeng's voice. It turned around. A pair of handsome little eyes were revealed. Very disdainful glanced at Yifeng. Just lazy to deal with him. To this, Yifeng was very unhappy and knocked on the head of Zaifeng. The terrifying reiatsu directly suppressed it to the ground, and then stepped on the soles of his feet. Tell me your name and ability. If it's very tricky, I'm afraid you don't need to exist anymore. Yifeng's voice was low. Obviously a little unhappy. After all, what abilities can a Mahjong knife soul have? The night wind is unimaginable. But Sword Soul Zaifeng stubbornly let out a cold snort, and some tsunere said, Just a wandering soul, dare to make trouble in front of this uncle. Huh. Yifeng frowned, twisted the soles of his shoes, rubbed Zaifeng's face for a while, and then said in a threatening tone, Do you know that it is very dangerous to speak to the master in this tone of voice? Master. Saber Soul Zaifeng shook his head disdainfully and said, Yamanaka Night Wind. You don't understand the world at all. You don't know yourself at all. I'll tell you the truth. You'd better be respectful to me. As long as you are happy to serve me, I will give you a little power, and it will be enough to make you look down on the world. Yifeng looked at the sworn sword soul in front of him. Impatiently shook his head. Why are people or non-humans saying that they don't understand this and that? I know the king. What about trouble? Then, Yifeng soon lost interest in his Mahjong sword. Whatever its function. Anyway, it's not Yifeng's style. Yifeng used Reiki to ruthlessly educate the soul of the sword, which was suspected to be named Zaifeng. And then, he decisively left the blade soul space and threw Zaifeng into the system space, opening the system's weapon fusion system. Ghost is on the left. The west wind is on the right. System, after fusion, what functions can be added to Gush? Yifeng asked. Ding. After the fusion, Gito can have some basic characteristics of Zanpakuto, and has special skills that can be turned into a whole deck of mahjong tiles. Hear the serious answer from the system. Yifeng was speechless. It seems. His Zanpakuto is really a pit. Still believable. Then. Yifeng decisively clicked the fusion button. The west wind disappeared. Ghost Toru has the characteristics of a spirit child. Then. Yifeng finally took Gush out of the system space. Old man, you really feel the best when you hold it. Yifeng stroked the black knife in his hand. There was a happy look on his face. However, Gush has quite a lot of abilities. If someone asks me in the future, what should I claim to be his abilities? After Yifeng's body turned into a spirit body, although many skills turned gray. But after Yifeng obtained the spiritual pressure attribute, there are also many skills back to normal. Such as the ice demon. Such as stellar energy control. But maybe it's because Yekazi's current Reiatsu is only at the ultimate level. So he still can't use the ice demon energy of absolute zero. Otherwise, his ghost can be disguised as the strongest ice and fire dual Zanpakuto. Otherwise, let's hide our strength. It seems to be good to be an old man. Yifeng thought for a while and analyzed calmly. He made the decision happily. It doesn't matter what is capable or not. After all, which bells and whistles skills are more fragrant than flat cutting? Especially when Ping slashed the boss's face with a sentence, "Do you think this is all the power?" Immediately afterwards, the ice and fire double heaven was arranged. Isn't that cool too? Then, just after Yifeng happily chose the starting mode of the plane of death, the real old man in this world has appeared. Aizen Sosuke took the steps of a gentleman who did not recognize his 6 relatives. Just happened to be passing by from outside. He found the night wind in the classroom. Then walked into the classroom, showing a curious look. You should be the rumored classmate Yifeng. I read your information in the academic affairs office. You are really a rare genius in the soul world. Yifeng heard the sound. He glanced in the direction of Aizen. Aizen didn't wear the team uniform of the 13th team of the God Te today, but the teacher's uniform of the True Spiritual Arts Academy. But Aizen's style and unique temperament are as outstanding as fireflies in the dark. Yifeng recognized Lan Ran's old yin force at a glance. You are. Yifeng decided to ask a wave of knowledge beforehand. My name is Aizen Sosuke, and I'm the teacher of the calligraphy class at the academy. You can call me Aizen Sensei. With a warm smile on Aizen's face, she sat opposite Yifeng and asked with concern. Yifeng classmate, now should be the time for freshmen to choose shallow play. Why do you stay in the classroom alone? Aizen originally planned to go to Hazama's place to observe it in secret. Did not expect. When he passed by here, he encountered Yifeng directly. But why didn't he choose knives and stay in the classroom? I've already chosen, so I'll come back first. Yifeng looked at Aizen calmly, and then pointed to Gush next to him. Oh, so fast. As expected of a talented student with a captain-level spiritual pressure, I remember when I was picking a shallow fight, but I waited until the end of the time before I was willing to make a choice. Azumo smiled faintly. Subsequently, he carefully observed Yifeng's Zanpakuto. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Yifeng classmate, your shallow punch. No, I mean your Zanpakuto, can you let me take a look? Shallow hit and normal Zanpakuto are nameless swords though. But the difference between the two is still obvious. So, Aizen has discovered that Yifeng's shallow fight has become Zanpakuto's reality. But how long has it been since? It's only been 10 minutes since the freshmen started choosing shallow play, right? Yifeng actually gave birth to a sword soul. Is there really such a talented player in this world? Well, it seems there really is. Someone seems to be such a genius. Sorry, Aizen-sensei, a knife is the same as a woman to me, how could it be handed to someone else? Yifeng smiled indifferently. Although Yifeng didn't know that he had been targeted by Aizen. But, facing a character like Aizen, Yifeng was not particularly willing to have too much contact with him. Not to mention showing him a knife. It turns out that since we have the soul of the sword, the next step is to learn how to liberate Zanpakuto. Although Aizen was rejected by Yifeng, he did not show any disappointment. He smiled lightly and said, "Let the teacher use my Zanpakuto to demonstrate the liberation of Zanpakuto for you." Chapter 434 Through the Mirror. A warm smile appeared on Aizen's face. If Yifeng didn't already know him, I'm afraid he would really be moved by Aizen. After all, Zanpakuto's power is very important to Reaper. Most people don't easily tell a stranger about their liberating abilities. It's not necessary anymore. Personally, I prefer to cut people directly with a knife, and I don't like those fancy abilities. It doesn't matter if Zanpakuto can be liberated or not. Yifeng shook his head. Without hesitation, he rejected Aizen's kindness. Kyoka Suzuki's abilities are different from demonic illusion in the ninja world. It controls the target's 5 senses. Once you've seen Aizen's Shikai, you'll be hit. Even Yamamoto Moto Ryazai Shigekuni, a god of death with a powerful spiritual pressure, could not crack the mirror. So, Yifeng still has a very strong vigilance towards Aizen. Want to show Yifeng a mirror of flowers and water moon. That is, the god of death has no flesh. Can't make chakra. Otherwise, Yifeng might pull Aizen into his demonic illusion world and make him a lamb. Well, so it is. After Aizen was rejected by Yifeng again, he still did not show any loss. He smiled again and said, "It's really rare to meet an interesting student like you. Let the teacher give you a calligraphy. You must not refuse again, otherwise the teacher will be sad." After all, the teacher is the calligraphy teacher of the college. Calligraphy. Yifeng frowned. He had heard that Lan Ran was very accomplished in calligraphy. Although Yifeng wasn't interested in it, it seemed unusual to keep rejecting people's kindness, so he ordered it. Nodding his head, he said, "Okay, then I will trouble teacher Aizen." Then, Aizen took out a writing brush from her bosom. He took out another piece of rice paper from his waist. Spread on the desk in front of Yifeng. After Aizen made these preparations, he did not rush to write, but asked Yifeng a question with a smile on his face. "Yifeng-kun, do you know why we usually think that the flowers that grow on the edge of the cliff are the most beautiful?" Yifeng carefully analyzed and thought for a while, and then replied. "Maybe it's because we stop when we reach the edge of the cliff, and those flowers take a brave step towards the sky without fear." This. After hearing Yifeng's answer, Lan Ran couldn't help but be stunned and smiled incredulously. This is really an interesting answer, it's exactly the same as what the teacher thought. This moment, Aizen suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in his heart. It was a feeling that the atmosphere had just been set up and wanted to pretend, but in the end, the coercion was pretended by the other party. Then, he decided to write first. After the blue dye's voice fell, the brush in his hand was flowing. Pen-like clouds of smoke. The 4 steeds that looked like they were off the reins came into the air, and they landed on the fine rice paper. Have to say, although Yifeng has never started a calligraphy appreciation grandmaster, but the words Aizen wrote are really good. Such a pity. These big characters are beautiful and picturesque. I wanted to sing poetry and give it to the world, but I have no culture, so I can only have big words. Going forward, these 4 words were given to you by the teacher. I hope you will join the Guardian 13 in the future and become an excellent god of death, and you will be able to move forward like the flowers on the cliff. Aizen's face quickly regained that innocent, good-natured smile. Look at such a smile. Yifeng's heart was filled with emotion. In those days, If Yifeng hadn't been spoiled by the scumbags in the same dormitory. He never imagined that a good old man with thick eyebrows and big eyes like Captain Aizen would be a big villain. Thank you. Yifeng looked at the big characters in front of him. Put it away. He looked at the blue die indifferently. That means force is also installed, the word is also written. Can you go away now? You're welcome. Although Yifeng put on an appearance of rejecting people thousands of miles away. But Aizen did not have any negative emotions because of the night wind. After all, in Aizen's view, the real powerhouse does not need to be angry because of the provocation of the ants. So, he can maintain a rare gentlemanly demeanor at all times. Then Aizen smiled. He had a showdown. Actually, I came to you this time for another purpose. Aizen looked at Yifeng and said slowly, Jing Lingting was in the East 80 district of Liuhun Street a few days ago, and found a man with a powerful spirit. You are an unknown person with power, and you showed a captain-level Reiatsu yesterday, so can you show me your Reiatsu? What? Aizen-sensei is doubting me. Yifeng smiled noncommittally. Actually, Yifeng had long expected that someone from the Guardian 13 team would definitely come to investigate him. After all, his performance yesterday was outstanding. But there is absolutely no loophole in his identity. After all, it was produced by the system. No, it's not a suspicion, it's just a little guess by the teacher. It's a bit abrupt, I hope Yifeng classmates don't mind. Aizen smiled. It seems that he wants to influence Yifeng with a kind smile. If Yifeng agrees to release Reiatsu. So, Aizen must be able to make a correct judgment through Yifeng's Reiatsu. If Yifeng refuses to release Reiatsu. So, in Aizen's heart, Yifeng is always inseparable from that mysterious person in Liuhun Street. So, this is conspiracy. There is absolutely no way that the young man on the opposite side has the means to break the game. You don't need to watch Lingya. The one who shot at Namluo Ancient Temple is me. I wonder if this answer will satisfy you. Yifeng shook his head. Generously admit it. Actually, Yifeng never intended to conceal his strength. He just felt that there was no need to break out Reiatsu at every turn. After all, he's not an upstart who likes to show off. His success depends on his hard work one step at a time. Why show it off? Hearing Yifeng directly admit it, Aizen was slightly surprised for half a second. He really didn't think about it. Yifeng would admit this matter so easily. Hehe, a genius like Yifeng can choose to join the Zhenyang Spiritual Arts Academy. It's a right choice. Lan Ran smiled and said, if there is nothing else, the teacher will leave first. That's good, thanks for the words from teacher Lan Ran. I still have to prepare my homework, so I won't be far away. Yifeng put the paper on the desk, took out the school textbooks, and put on a look like he was going to study hard. Goodbye then. Aizen didn't say anything more. He smiled. Then, he left the classroom lightly. But after he completely left Yifeng's sight, Aizen took out the brush. Smile lightly. Break it, Jingwashuiyu. Chapter 435 Yifeng's study career begins. Blue Dai's voice fell. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The brush in his hand also changed back to his mirror-like appearance. Actually, the most fundamental purpose of Aizen coming to Yifeng is to use the mirror on him once. As for the so-called spiritual pressure problem, Aizen doesn't really care much. Although he is more curious about Yifeng. But only a little curious. After all, in Aizen's view, no matter how strong Yifeng's spiritual pressure talent is, it is impossible for him to compare the blue dye with a collapsing jade. In comparison, Aizen is still more concerned about Kurosaki Ichigo, who has the three powers of death, Quincy, and Ku at the same time in this world. That is the son of destiny. As for the night breeze, probably just a slightly stronger mortal. An hour later. The students in the freshman class return to the classroom with their respective punches. Hey, Yefeng classmate, I've kept you waiting for a long time. Let's rest for a while. Next, let's go to the kendo dojo with the teacher and prepare for today's kendo class. The head teacher brought the students back to the classroom. Everyone was looking at Yifeng with incredible eyes. Everyone is very curious about what kind of ability Yifeng's knife that can trigger visions is. But, just like Aizen said, except Yifeng, everyone else waited until the last moment in the narrow room before deciding which knife to choose. After all, Zanpakuto is still very important to normal Reaper. Just like Ichigo Kurosaki. People are just because their faces are white. You don't even need a light hit. But it was so easy and comfortable to get a Zanpakuto. What a slashing fist and a ghost. What practical experience. Don't study at all. With just an open heavenly lock, Zanyu, he would be able to fight the death god Captain Hardsteel. Just ask if it's irritating. So, the importance of Zanpakuto to the god of death is self-evident. It may also require talent and hard work to cut the fist and walk away. It is determined by nature and nurture. But what kind of ability Zanpakuto can awaken is entirely a matter of face. And these face-to-face things. It is often the thing that people who don't like to work hard like to put their hopes on for a turnaround. And Yifeng is a person who likes to work hard. So, he doesn't need Zanpakuto. ... Half an hour later, Yifeng followed the new students to the kendo dojo under the leadership of the head teacher. Obviously. Because most of the classmates are civilians from Liuhun Street. So, everyone is very excited about being able to receive systematic and standardized kendo lessons right away. Have you heard that our kendo teacher is a specially hired teacher from the 13th team of the Guardian, and he has the combat power of a chief officer? Ah, officer, are you so arrogant? Then we're too lucky this year, aren't we? Yes, we must study hard with the teacher. Dojo Center. The kendo teacher is carefully explaining the basics of kendo to everyone. Although there are many kinds of kendo. But Yifeng has already taken a similar approach in this regard. Not interested in what the teacher said at all. Such behavior naturally made the new kendo teacher feel a little unhappy. But, kendo teacher is also not a second-hand person whose IQ is not online. He knew that Yifeng had a captain-level spiritual pressure as soon as he entered school. After graduating in the future, joining the Guardian 13 team will definitely be the beginning of the chief officer. And he himself is only a 10-seater. So, how could he possibly provoke Yifeng? Then, after kendo teacher finished all the essentials, standing in the center of the dojo, he looked at his classmates with a smile and asked, "Okay, the theoretical knowledge of today's class has been explained almost. Are there any students who are interested and want to have a practical drill with the teacher? This way the teacher can explain kendo more intuitively for everyone." This is definitely not the case that the kendo teacher has to kill himself. This is the basic flow of kendo lessons. After all, good knowledge is not just a theory. The teacher also has to find a live target to show up to speak. In this way, students can understand kendo more vividly. Then, students, look at me and I look at you. Basically, no one wants to come forward and make this living target. Then, in the end, everyone could only focus on Yifeng. That means, are you a genius? Facing the enthusiastic recommendation from the classmates, kendo teacher smiled gratified. Although we can't provoke you outright. But this is the normal teaching process. You never said that, did you? Can't play the set of Reckoning after autumn, right? Then, kendo teacher picked up a wooden knife, handed it to Yifeng, and said with a smile, "Since Yifeng is popular, then for the first actual combat exercise this semester, Yifeng will cooperate with the teacher." Yeah, classmate Yifeng, kendo teacher is the chief officer of the 10th division. This opportunity is very rare. You have to take advantage of this opportunity. The head teacher also smiled and encouraged. In everyone's view, it seems that it is very rare to be able to conduct practical training with the officers. By now, although Yifeng was reluctant to take action, he had no choice. Then, Yifeng could only stand out from the team and took the wooden sword from the kendo teacher's hand. Yifeng wooden knife in hand. His aura suddenly changed, although he stood there motionless. But that kind of swordsman's momentum made the excellent kendo teacher couldn't help but be stunned. Ah! Student Yifeng, I didn't expect you to be so sophisticated in holding the knife. It seems that the teacher needs to be more serious. Then, practical training begins. Both players stand in the center of the dojo. Although neither side made a move, but the momentum on both of them had already spread. This kind of momentum is not caused by Reiatsu. It's something akin to a sword. The guys looked very excited. Tisk tisk tisk, I heard that Yifeng was born in the North 80 district. It's really different from those of us nobles who grew up happily in Siringte. Yeah, I heard that everyone in the North 80 district can use knives. It seems that Yifeng is also a master. But he shouldn't be able to defeat the teacher. After all, the teacher is the chairman of the 10th division. Of course, the officers of the 13th guarding team, everyone is a master. Come on, Yifeng-kun. Bring out the momentum of our freshmen, and strive to be able to support 10 moves under the teacher's hands. Have to say, the IQ of this class of students is very online. Not only did they not stand on the opposite side of Yifeng, waiting to be slapped by Yifeng. Instead, they began to cheer for the night wind. Chapter 436_Heartbroken Teachers. Hee 10 tricks. It seems that the chairperson, teacher, has been underestimated by you little guys. The kendo teacher smiled lightly, but he was not angry. He turned the blade in his hand and looked at Yifeng with a smile. Student Yifeng, the teacher is about to go. Whoosh. Kendo teacher's voice fell. He took a step forward. The wooden knife is flipped in the hand. Like a sharp arrow, he slashed towards Yifeng's wrist in the most basic kendo posture. Although the timing and angle of this knife are more tricky. But this move is really just a basic kendo stance. So, the teacher's meaning is also very simple. Check it out. I beat you with such a simple gesture. This can't be regarded as a teacher bullying you, right? Nothing to talk about in the future, right? Then, Yifeng also politely gave kendo teacher a most basic move. One move flat cut. Simple and straightforward. Boom. The wooden sword in Yifeng's hand came first, passed through one of the 89 flaws in the kendo teacher's moves, and slashed on the kendo teacher's abdomen. Boom. The kendo teacher clearly felt the pressure that the knife brought him. Immediately use Reiatsu to protect your body. But he was still cut off with a surprised look on his face. It stopped after crashing into the arms of the head teacher. Ah, this. What are you going to see? It's still a bit of a haircut. In the future, it's enough to call 666 behind boss Yifeng. One of the partners sighed. The teachers are all defeated. Brother Feng will be everyone's boss from now on. At this time, Yifeng looked at the kendo teacher who was slashed by him. His brows furrowed slightly. Then, he walked up to the kendo teacher with an apologetic expression, pulled him up, and mumbled inadvertently, "Isn't that the military power of the chief officer? If I had known that I had made a move, it would have been easier." The sound of the night wind was not great. But listening to the kendo teacher's ears was like a thunderbolt from the blue sky. Start a little lighter. Lighter. Some more. At this time, the head teacher quickly pushed the kendo teacher out of his arms. Then start helping him out. That. Students, be quiet first. Kendo-sensei just wanted to show everyone a wrong first-hand attack method. Student Yifeng also cooperated very skillfully. Then, let the kendo teacher show you the correct one again. What the head teacher said was serious, and even he himself was about to believe it. But Kendo teacher's face turned gloomy after hearing what the class teacher said. Is this the wrong way of attacking that I'm deliberately demonstrating? Is my attack wrong? This is obviously because your child is too fierce, okay. Do you want me to demonstrate again? Is this to see me continue to be beaten? Teacher, class teacher, I don't think it's better than this. You and I can complete the next Kendo practice today. The teacher of Kendo looked at the class teacher and said. This. The head teacher was a little stunned. Why is there such a request? Then, the first Kendo class of the freshman class adopted a unique teaching mode. The guys looked very excited. The head teacher was beaten badly. But Yi Feng said. Can't blame him for this. How did he know that the chairman of the 13th team of the Guardian was so weak? And the key is poor mentality. ... The second class begins. This class teaches instant steps. Although the head teacher's mind has just been traumatized by Kendo teacher. But there is no danger in the instant walk class. He doesn't need to worry about anything. Then, Shunbu sensei is the same as Kendo sensei. First, I will explain to you the basics of using shunpo. Then, he took out a bell and hung it around his waist. Prepare to show your lovely classmates how to use the shunpo technique to avoid enemy attacks. This time, the lovely classmates once again recommended Yefeng to Mr. Shunbu. No way. That night someone is so popular. What can he do? Teacher Shunbu looked at Yifeng with a smile and said, Student Yefeng, please use the fastest speed you think you can to grab the bell from teacher's waist. Teacher will use Shunbu's wonderful technique to let the students understand the importance of this subject. Quote. Then, Shunbu sensei's voice just fell. The smile on the corner of his mouth hadn't even disappeared completely. The night wind has disappeared in place. Wait until Yi Feng's figure reappears in its original position. There was an extra bell in his hand. Obviously. That is the one that Shunbu sensei intends to use to show Shunbu. This. What do you think this time? I got it this time. Shunbu really is a wonderful art. Big Guy 666. The head teacher hid behind the students. He touched his chin solemnly. Although his own shunpo level was average, he didn't see Yi Feng's movements clearly at all. But, judging from the experience summed up in his last class, this was definitely not what Shunbu sensei did on purpose. This presupposes that his own little genius abused Mr. Shunbu with Shunbu. Then, Mr. Shunbu touched the back of his head and said embarrassedly, Haha, everyone has seen it, that's how Shunbu plays. Let's practice hard. ... The morning Kendo class and Shunpo class ended successfully. Noon. While the friends were enjoying their lunch happily, the entire freshman class's academic affairs office was waiting in earnest. Discuss what happened in the morning. This Yi Feng is really a genius. He showed such amazing talent in Kendo and Shunpo as soon as he entered school. Actually, I can understand Kendo. After all, everyone in Liuhun Street knows a little about Kendo, but how did Shunpo learn it? Maybe it's Shunbu sensei's good teaching. People can listen to it once as a genius. That's too exaggerated, isn't it? Anyway, in the afternoon ghost class and white fight class, I think it is necessary for the two teachers to learn the lesson of the morning, and we can't lose the face of our academic affairs office. But the ghost teacher, however, put his hands around his chest in disbelief. On the corner of the mouth, showing a confident smile. The ghost class is not a big problem. After all, ghosts are a very complicated subject. Even if Yi Feng is a genius, he can't learn it so quickly. I have confidence, you can rest assured. The head teacher looked at the smile on the corner of Teacher Guidao's mouth. It always feels like things are not that simple. What about Teacher Baida? Or I'll temporarily dispatch a Baida teacher from Lao Sheng's side. The two of you will cooperate in teaching together. Just in case. The head teacher suggested. No, no, I'm playing for nothing, I'm afraid of a dir. White hit the teacher said. Aren't you just a student? Look at you one by one to frighten. Is there any more teacher's appearance? By the time. Let you see how I teach my children. Chapter 437 _ Ghost Teacher's Careful Machine. Afternoon. After lunch break. The head teacher led the rookie class into the primary ghost training ground with solemn eyes. The Onagao training ground is different from the Kendo and Shunpo training grounds in the morning. This is a very wide place. A few targets were placed in front of them that were used as ghost targets. Surrounded by walls built with murderous stones. In order to prevent students from accidentally destroying things in the outside world when practicing ghosts. Hello classmates. I am everyone's future ghost teacher. Next. The ghost teacher enthusiastically made a very detailed self-introduction to everyone. Then. He began to introduce ghosts. It's well known. The way of ghosts is a very important part of the 4 lessons of death. It is not impossible to say it is the most important. Because after everyone learns the ghost way, everyone's fighting styles can be changed in a variety of ways, making the enemy dazzled, which is very powerful. Okay. Not much to say. I will now introduce to you how to use ghosts. Ghostly is a special kind of magic. The god of death sings incantations through the word spirit, mobilizes the spiritual power in the body, and guides the spiritual power to change in a special way. Finally, manifested in the form of ghosts. So, the actual combat effectiveness of onigiri depends on the user's reiatsu and proficiency in using onigiri. Generally speaking, if it is a captain-level death god, a common ghost attack can even destroy a small hill. Superb. Okay, the essentials of using ghosts, I have already introduced them to my classmates. Now, please come out Yefeng, cooperate with the teacher, and show the students how to use ghosts. Hiss. The little friends heard that the ghost teacher actually invited Yifeng to cooperate with him. He couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. At the same time, everyone also praised the courage of the ghost teacher. Then, Yifeng walked out of the team with a depressed look on his face. He was so low-key. Why is it still being focused on? Is he also as dazzling as the fireflies in the dark night? Teacher Gui Dao, classmate Yifeng is a new classmate after all. Otherwise, I think I'd better let me do this coordinating job. Seeing that the momentum was not good, the head teacher hurriedly stood up and winked at teacher Gui Dao. Sent crazy prompts. Don't pretend. Pretending to be struck by lightning. Such a simple truth, everyone at noon, didn't they have already agreed? Let you be cautious in the afternoon. How? Now when all I say is falling on deaf ears. How dare you take the initiative to invite Yifeng to cooperate? I'm afraid you don't know how painful the beating of the head teacher in the morning is. Don't worry, I have my measure. Gui Dao teacher showed a secret smile, glanced at Yifeng enthusiastically, and said. Student Yifeng, the teacher is going to show the students how to use the binding path today. The first binding path is called, plug. You just need to stand in place and don't move. Heard here. The head teacher raised his eyebrows fiercely. Expert. It turned out to be a demonstration bondage. Unexpectedly, the ghost teacher is still a scheming big man. The ghost realm consists of 3 parts: breaking the realm, binding the realm, and returning to the realm. The function of the binding path is to bind and imprison the enemy. The plug is the first entry-level bondage path in the bondage path. After casting, can block the movement of the opponent's hands and feet. It can be said, as long as the tie is used to slip, the enemy is only passively beaten. Then, Yifeng cooperated and stood in the center of the field. Then, the ghost teacher began to chant complex and poetic ghost incantations. After reading, Guido teacher pointed sharply in Yifeng's direction. Race. Immediately after, An invisible force instantly poured into Yifeng's body, trying to tie his hands behind his back. But the ghost teacher said he needs to keep Yifeng motionless to cooperate. So Yifeng used a little hair extension. He successfully neutralized the force in his body that wanted to twist his wrist. Maintained a perfect motionless posture. Then there was an embarrassing scene on the training ground. Hi. What do you think about this time? Isn't the teacher's bondage instant? Is there a delay in casting? Maybe the ghost teacher just wanted to show the action, and didn't want to show the effect. The head teacher made additions on the side. He thought it was the ghost teacher who had drifted away. Turns out he's pretty cool. But this time, Teacher Guidao looked at the head teacher with a bad look on his face. With a plug that gave up the chant, let the students see the effect that the path should have. Maintain the dignity of the Tao. This moment, the head teacher couldn't help but burst into tears. Who am I provoking this? Why are the teachers of this class so rude? Then Yifeng, let's go back first. Next, I will teach you a trick called Cheng. As long as you pay a little attention to the techniques and spells, you should be able to learn it today. Then, the ghost teacher taught everyone the technique of rushing. The little friends also actively started training one by one, facing the target ahead. The rushing target snapped. Classmate Yifeng, why are you standing here motionless, not practicing rushing like other classmates? Teacher Guidao suddenly walked to Yifeng's side, looked at Yifeng curiously and asked. Teacher, could it be that the delayed spellcasting version you just used took effect? A little fat man without long eyes ran up to the two of them and started talking nonsense. Then, not surprisingly, Guidao teacher slapped the little fat man out. Then, Teacher Guidao gave Yifeng a look of, you don't need to know if you know what I know. No way. Yifeng had to explain. Teacher, I already know how to Cheng, so I don't need to practice. Nightwind shrugged. Rush is the most primitive way to use energy. For example, taught Wanda Fei Yuhi which Wanda a similar technique in the super god world. He didn't need to do any training at all. But Guidao teacher shook his head indifferently, and looked at Yifeng seriously. Student Yifeng, the teacher, as a visitor, must remind you. Although you are a genius, you must keep in mind the principle of not being arrogant or discouraged when you win. Come and train hard with everyone. Looking at the serious look on Teacher Guidao's face, Yifeng couldn't help but sighed. But what can he say in such a situation? After all, the teacher is also kind to him, right? Nor can he say, I have already learned advanced mathematics, why should I go to you to learn the 9-9 multiplication table? Right. Chapter 438 Loose and Shake Lightning Whip. Yifeng, like the others, walked over to the target and raised a finger. Then, he hesitated. Yifeng suddenly felt that since the other friends were seriously chanting incantations, if he rushed without reciting the incantation, wouldn't it be obvious that he was too out of place? After all, he is not a person who likes to be independent. Then, after a mouthful of mantras, a powerful rush burst out from Yifeng's fingertips. Boom! A blue shock wave as thick as a water tank emerged along Yifeng's fingertips. The murderous stone target on the opposite side, together with the head teacher who recorded the grades there, was blasted out. Although not fatal. But this moment, the head teacher was really aggrieved and wanted to cry. Why is the head teacher living in panic on the first day of school today? Why are the beasts in the class so good? Is it too late for me to resign now? The ghost class is over. Except for the two teachers. The students were very happy in this class. They even feel. Is Soul Society ready to start happy education? The teachers are so cute. Take a break. Next, the head teacher brought the students to the training dojo for the last class of the day. White Play Dojo. With the valuable experience of the first 3 lessons. As soon as the head teacher heard the name of this class, he felt an urge to ask for leave. But the head teacher again thought of the sworn appearance of Teacher Baida. He puffed himself up. Bravely took the students into the White Play class. After arranging the students' positions, the head teacher walked over to Teacher Baida and whispered. First, I have no ill will towards you at all. I won't comment on anything later. I hope you don't take anger at me, and you must teach calmly. Secondly, if you really need a sparring partner for a while, you can choose whoever you like, but as long as you don't choose me, that's fine. Thirdly, in short, thousands of words converge into one sentence, that is, rat tail juice. Teacher Baida was dumbfounded as he listened to the head teacher chatting beside him for a long time. I have absolutely no idea what he was trying to say. Isn't it just a lesson for these lovely kids? Is this necessary? Then, the white class has officially started. Baida teacher stood across from the students with a smile on his face. Hello classmates. Hello teacher. Sit down. Next. Teacher Baida gave a detailed self-introduction like other teachers. Introduced his name, age, the working experience of the god of death, and what you are good at, what you like, etc. Then, the teaching really begins. Student Yefeng, I heard that you are a genius, can the teacher test you? Teacher Baida walked to Yifeng with a smile. Looking at Yifeng asked. At this time, go, the head teacher in the corner, saw this scene. A meaningful smile appeared on his face. Check it out. It's about to start again. The gears of fate are about to start turning again. Someone is going to get beaten up again. But this time, definitely not this teacher. Yifeng stood up from his seat, looked at Teacher Baida in front of him calmly, and said, yes. After all, he is a teacher and he is a student. It is only natural for teachers to test students. Yifeng would not refuse. Teacher Baida asked, I want to hear what Yifeng thinks about Baida. See this scene. The head teacher raised his eyes. How? This is to change from martial arts to Wendo. You beat the dignified 7-footed man for nothing, when did you become so slippery? But, tell you the truth. Useless. Even Wendo. You must be slapped in the face too. White fight. Yifeng pondered for a while, and then answered truthfully, white fight is martial arts, and it can also be called fist and kick kung fu. Teacher Baida heard Yifeng's simple and straightforward answer. Satisfied nodded. That's right, in the eyes of most people, fighting for nothing is just a kind of fist and kick, and the actual combat effect is neither comparable to Zanpakuto nor Ghost, but in fact it is not like this, it is not simple to fight for nothing. The punches and kicks. Quote. Baida teacher's voice fell. He jumped up. Jumped to the center of the dojo. Showed the students some punches and kicks like lightning. Such a seemingly sharp move really belongs to the category of white fights. But it's not all in vain. Students, look carefully. White fight, whirlwind kick. Baida teacher's voice fell. A volley kicked out. Just see. On the toes kicked out by Teacher Baida, a faint Uzumaki-like spiritual power suddenly surged, exuding a strong gravitational force. Nightwing nodded. Such an attack is not as sharp as a weapon. But Uzumaki's power can change the opponent's attack trajectory. Let the opponent be caught off guard to reveal flaws. You see, all the abilities of the Death God are based on spiritual power, and the same is true for white fights. After the teacher finished speaking, also demonstrated a few other types of white tricks. Speak up. Baida teacher is really well-intentioned. After all, the Grim Reaper either took the Ghost Road route or the Zanpakuto route. There are very few death gods who insist on fighting with white fights. It was as if learning to play for free would never come out. But in the mind of Baida teacher, fighting in vain is not just a simple punch. As long as it is used in vain, There's no need for those fancy combat moves at all. Hands are enough. See here. Yifeng nodded thoughtfully. The physical techniques Yifeng originally used were basically pure fist and foot attacks. It can also be understood as martial arts without special effects. And after the white fight is combined with the spiritual pressure, created some very special attack effects. Indeed, the pattern of punching and kicking attacks has become more varied. But this is still not Yifeng's preferred fighting style. Like the Hyuga's house in Hokage. The reason why they chose to attack the enemy's body points. It's not simply wanting to show off. It's because the opponent will, under normal circumstances, strictly guard the key points. It is not an easy thing to attack the vitals. So, using those special attack techniques to attack non-vital parts and cause damage has become the primary goal of taijutsu. But, in the eyes of today's Night Wind, his opponents are basically full of flaws. Yifeng can easily attack the opponent's vitals. So, what are you doing with such bells and whistles? Isn't it fragrant to pound Wanglong directly? Teacher Baida seemed to see Yifeng's disdain for Baida from Yifeng's eyes. Then, Baida teacher smiled lightly. Played tricks in public. Loose, live, bounce, shake. Lightning whip. Play the thief. Chapter 439 _ The teacher's mentality finally collapsed. To tell you the truth. Teacher, I am under the guidance of Mr. Kirin Baoguo. This set of 5 lightning whips is the secret technique for free strikes developed by Mr. Kirin in his later years. You can dazzle the opponent first, and then reveal the flaws, so that you can attack the opponent's vital points. So say. White fighting is the foundation of slashing fists and getting rid of ghosts, but it is definitely not the weakest subject. I hope that students will not be partial to subjects in the future. At every turn in the academy, I told my classmates that the teacher was sick. Then replace the white class with other courses. Is this behavior really appropriate? Teacher Baida is obviously the strongest in physique among the teachers of the 4 subjects. How can you be sick? So, something like this. Teacher Baida feels that changes are needed from this semester. Then, Teacher Baida stared at Yifeng with sincerity. Then, he finally saw the surprised look on Yifeng's face. Teacher Baida nodded in relief. Check it out. Teacher, as long as I have a unique skill, I am not afraid that you will not be convinced. Otherwise. He was going to use a set of hair extensions to give Yifeng a lesson. That's it. The rhythm of Baida's class did not cause much trouble under the perfect leadership of Baida's teacher. Until the end of get out of class. The head teacher couldn't help but reminded in the corner. Teacher Baida, according to the usual practice, shouldn't you and the students personally demonstrate the basic sparring skills of Baida in this class? The head teacher looked bewildered. It shouldn't be. Shouldn't classmate Yifeng first go up and slap the face, then pretend to be aggressive, then narrate, and then make the whole white fight dojo a complete mess? How has his style changed? How did this class end so smoothly? This can't be done. Then, Teacher Baida's eyes sank slightly. A meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Don't worry, isn't there a few minutes left? Make arrangements right away. Teacher Baida laughed. The head teacher was dumbfounded. But he was very satisfied with Teacher Baida's expression. Because this looks like an expression that is about to be slapped in the face. 5 minutes later, the door of the white dojo was opened from the outside. Kendo-sensei, Shunbu-sensei, and Guido-sensei came in together. Teacher Baida stopped the teaching in his hands. Smile lightly. Students, in order to let everyone experience the fun of free play more intuitively, I specially invited 3 teachers to do this final practical exercise for everyone. I hope the students will like it. Although the white beating teacher is confident in his own white beating level. But after he knew that Yifeng could achieve such an effect with a single charge. No matter how much he floats, he has to think about it. Then, He invited 3 other teachers from today to join him. Decided to give freshmen a good lesson. Fog grass. What's going on in this class? Why are all 4 teachers here? Yes, my 3rd grade brother didn't tell me that there is such a teaching process. Looks like I really made a lot of money today. The students were discussing. I don't understand what the teachers are saying at all. Teacher, I have temporarily changed the content of today's course, which may delay the end of class for about 2 minutes. You shouldn't have any opinion on this, right? Teacher smiled lightly. Symbolically, I asked the head teacher for advice. As for students. As a teacher, he does not need to consider the opinions of the students at all. That's great, what can I say? After all, it's teaching, and it's supposed to be flexible like this. And it's not a big deal to drag on for 2 minutes. The head teacher shrugged indifferently, glanced at Yifeng, and said, Student Yifeng, let you come out and play with these 4 teachers. Hear this arrangement. Yifeng couldn't help frowning. Why me again? There is no right to be a student, right? But, after all, the night wind is what everyone expects. He could only walk out silently and glanced at the 4 shower on the opposite side. 4 teachers, let's go together. After all, this kind of behavior is wrong. I can't bear it for a second. 2 more minutes. Yifeng said that I believe in you ghosts. You 4 bad old men are very bad. Then, arrogant, look on Yifeng's face. I was furious in my heart. Kendo, boxing, are originally the same way. The teacher used the palm as a knife today. Let the students see. In fact, white fight and kendo are also figured out. Shunpo, the most important thing in all combat skills, without a flexible movement, is nothing. Students should see it clearly today. Don't blink your eyes. Who said that you have to be a master to learn the ghost way? The teacher will show you today how the white fight and the ghost way are perfectly combined. Students, you are so happy, because you will be able to see the full version of Teacher Bao Guo's lightning 5 whiplashes next. After the 4 sentences that were slightly second in the middle fell. The 4 teachers shot at the same time. They attacked Yifeng from 4 different kukuzu. Both the speed and strength of the shot are terrifying. But, even in the face of such a combined attack, the night wind did not flicker. The expression on his face was calm, his hands behind his back. The spiritual pressure in the body suddenly poured out. It was directly applied to these 4 teachers. Boom! Before the 4 teachers' moves were in place, they felt that their bodies were suddenly overwhelmed by a force of gravity. All fell to the ground. It looked like it was uncomfortable. Despicable. I even used a sneak attack with spiritual pressure. You, young man, how can you be so unvirtuous? That's right. Dare to remove this unreasonable Reiatsu. Have you played against us? At this time, Yifeng shook his head, swiped his upper right on his hair, temporarily changed his hairstyle, and said solemnly. Actually, teachers, isn't the battle of the god of death the battle of Reiatsu? You are so obsessed with the form of cutting fists and walking ghosts, don't you think you have gone astray? Yifeng's voice fell. The head teacher was the first to jump out and applaud. No matter what you say or not. Anyway, I was happy watching the 4 of them fall to the ground. I will give you a thumbs up. In the next period of time. Yifeng is so bored that he plays Chan Oil every day in the class of Zongquan walking ghosts. Anyway. Yifeng's shunpo has been used very quickly. Kendo said nothing. Teacher Baida is not Yifeng's opponent either. As for ghosts. In the eyes of the ghost teacher, Yifeng is simply a genius to learn ghost ways. No matter how difficult it is. Yifeng learns it. Even sometimes. The teacher hasn't officially taught yet, and Yifeng has already learned it in advance. Although this is a bit illogical. But, anyway, the teachers have completely given up on Yifeng's education. He can do whatever he likes. Quan should be fine without such a student. Otherwise, There's no way this class can go on normally. The mentality of teachers will collapse at every turn. Chapter 440 Apply for early graduation. After almost a month of living as a salted fish, Yifeng finally felt that he couldn't take it anymore. This kind of life is so boring. And there are no beautiful girls around. This kind of life Night Wind can hardly last a day. Then, this day, Yifeng was in a daze in Shunbu class. At this time, the system suddenly beeped. Ding! Please go to the present world to sign in. This mission is limited to 1 month. After hearing the news, Yifeng smiled happily. The reason why he was so cooperative in staying at the True Spiritual Arts Academy was that the academy played the role of a well-behaved student. It was because Yifeng was worried that the system would allow him to sign some strange arrivals. And now, since the next sign-in task is in this world, so Night Wind thinks, after all, he has been in school for a month. Now is also the time to show off the real technology. He is going to make an early graduation request to the True Spirit Academy. Instantly in the classroom, Shunpo teacher is carefully guiding the students to practice Shunpo. Suddenly, he felt like a breeze was blowing around him. Then, the night wind disappeared. To this, Master Shunbu didn't care at all. Aren't you coming late and leaving early? Is this a problem for Yifeng classmates? Even if he ran to the dean to propose graduation now, Shunbu-sensei wouldn't be surprised at all. True Central Spiritual Arts Academy. Director's Office. What? Student Yifeng, you said you want to apply for early graduation. The dean had a pipe in his mouth. Hit it hard a few times. A look of wonder appeared on his face. Yes, I don't think the True Central Academy of Spiritual Arts can teach me anything anymore, and it's time for me to graduate. Yifeng shrugged and said indifferently. But, classmate Yifeng, you're less than a month away from entering school. Are you about to graduate? The dean put down his pipe, looked at Yifeng solemnly and said. You have to know that even the captain of the 3rd Division, a genius like Ichimaru Silver, stayed at the True Spiritual Art Academy for a year before he chose to graduate early. President, I'm not Ichimaru Silver, so I don't need a year. After all, the reason why records exist in this world is not to break them. Yifeng said lightly. Yes, your grades in the 4 subjects of Zongquan and Walking Ghosts are indeed very good, and the teachers have all told me. Seeing Yifeng's sworn look on his face, the dean shook his head with a wry smile, and said. But if you want to graduate, you have to turn a shallow fight into a zanpakuto. I heard that you have never done swordsmanship. Don't look at Aizen, you can see Yifeng Gush's abnormality at a glance. But that's because the blue dye is too strong. It's so easy for others to see where the ghosts come from. President, the reason why I never practice sword meditation is because my sword has long since become zanpakuto. Yifeng said. Yifeng's voice fell. He directly pulled out the ghost hanging from his waist. Gush's black blade exudes a strange aura. This moment, Dean finally, completely understood, what kind of genius Yifeng was. Hey, when did you create the sword soul? Didn't your head teacher say that he has never seen you do Daozen? Isn't his job as a head teacher too incompetent? Do you still want to do it? Quote. The dean looked at Zanpakuto in Yifeng's hands in disbelief. Although Yifeng's Zanpakuto has a strange color. But, in the realm of corpses, the shape of the chopper knife is not necessarily the same as that of the shallow strike. There are always some freaks. For example, the captain of the 11th team Kenpachi Zakagi. His knife is also very special. So, the dean did not suspect anything because of the strange color of the Yifeng knife. On the contrary, now that Yifeng's knife has undergone a change in form, that means Yifeng's Zanpakuto has really given birth to the soul of the sword. I can't blame the head teacher for this. After I received the shallow beating, I went back to the classroom to do sword meditation, and the soul of the sword was born on the spot, so I did not do sword meditation again. Nightwind shrugged. In fact, the soul of the sword is gone. Ghost Toru just kept the feeling of the soul of the sword. What else does he do with swordsmanship? But this can't blame Yifeng for being ruthless. Who made the west wind so pitiful? It turns out that. The dean swallowed. He stared at Yifeng's black knife for a long time. He felt that his understanding of Yifeng had been refreshed again. Since this is the case, then you do have the conditions to apply for early graduation. You should go back and wait for the news. I will apply to the captain. The dean said. Okay, then thank you, dean. Yifeng replied, then turned to leave. The 13th team of the Guardian. Captain's meeting. The commander-in-chief, Yamamoto Moto Ryusai Shigekuni, was seated in the first place. He looks old though. But the powerful aura emanating from him made all the captains dare not make trouble at will. Even thorns like Zaraki Kenpachi and Niyuri stood upright in front of him. Okay. Regarding the internal affairs of the Gote 13th team, we will discuss it here today. Next. Let's discuss the matter of Yamanaka Yekazi's request to graduate early, regarding the Shino Arts Academy. The commander-in-chief's voice fell. All the captains were stunned. Especially Hitsugaya Tushiro and Ichimaru Silver. Both of them were captains who had applied for early graduation from the True Spirit Academy. But it's less than a month since Yifeng entered school. Is this about to graduate? Although everyone has long known that a genius like Yifeng must apply for an early graduation. But no one expected that he would apply so early. Graduate early. It would be a waste to put such a genius in the True Spirit Academy. I think let him join our 11th team directly. Our squad has been without fresh blood for a long time. Zaraki Kenpachi licked the corner of his mouth with a grin. The entire 11th team. In addition to the Grass Deer 8000 streams. Zaraki Kenpachi has been beaten all over and he is tired of it. If the Night Wind can join, it can definitely add 1,000,000 points of interest to his boring life. Haha, in fact, there are already quite a few fighting geniuses in the 11th division. I think that our 4th division should also introduce some death gods who are good at fighting. The captain of the 4th division, Ujawali, smiled faintly. Although the 4th division is a medical division. But who said that those who engage in medical treatment do not need a strong fighting force? Hehe. Yifeng-kun has been eagerly vying for everyone before he graduated. He is really an interesting little guy. Aizen Soyusuke pushed the black frame on the bridge of his nose. He showed a warm smile that was accustomed to it.